I'm David Muir. I'll see you tomorrow.
South Carolina's most honored radio station. News Talk 100.1 WRHI Rock Hill. W261CY Rock Hill. The voice of York County.
An OTS Media station.
Arrests in the U.S. of foreign nationals with suspected terror ties. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The men taken into custody in 3 major cities.
A federal source with knowledge of this case tells Fox News that 8 nationals of Tajikistan with suspected ties to ISIS were all arrested by ICE and the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force in recent days in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. Now, Tajikistan is over 7,000 miles away from the southern border, and Fox is told that all 8 of these Tajik nationals crossed illegally into the U.S. and received full vetting by DHS, during which time, we're told, no derogatory information on them was flagged. We're told potential ties to terrorism and national security concerns flagged later on, after they were apparently released into the U.S.
Fox's Bill Malugin in Los Angeles. In a joint statement, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security confirmed the arrest, saying the U.S. has been in a heightened threat environment, and they will continue working around the clock to identify, investigate, and disrupt potential threats to national security. President Biden's son Hunter guilty on all 3 counts in his federal gun trial.
Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct.
Special counsel David Weiss, the charges carry a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison. No date for sentencing has been set. In a statement, President Biden said he would accept the outcome and continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal. Police in Atlanta say a gunman shot 3 people before he was shot by police in the Peachtree Center food court. All 4 are expected to survive. Peachtree Center is part of Atlanta's busy hotel and convention area. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE, Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
Guilty pleas in a daycare fentanyl death.
2 men, including the husband of a New York City daycare owner, have pled guilty to felony drug trafficking charges connected to the fatal fentanyl poisoning of a toddler and injury to 3 other babies exposed to the opioid, which investigators found hidden beneath the playroom floor of the Bronx Child Care Center. The husband, Felix Herrera Garcia, who was nabbed in Mexico after fleeing the U.S., and drug dealer Renny Antonio Para Paredes face a minimum sentence of 20 years in prison. Herrera Garcia's wife and another person were charged separately with murder, narcotics possession, and assault. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
The lead singer of the Four Tops has filed a lawsuit against Ascension Macomb Oakland Hospital in Warren, Michigan, outside Detroit, claiming staff restrained him and ordered a psychological exam after refusing to believe that he was part of the Motown music group. Alexander Morris, who joined the group in 2019, is claiming racial discrimination and other misconduct when he went to the hospital in 2023 for chest pain and breathing problems. Morris says staff assumed he was mentally ill when he revealed who he was. The hospital said it won't comment on the allegations, but says it doesn't condone discrimination. A legend of the competitive eating game won't be competing on the 4th of July.
Joey Chestnut, the 16-time winner of the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest, will not compete in the annual competition next month, Major League Eating announced Tuesday. According to a statement, Chestnut has, quote, chosen to represent a rival brand that sells plant-based hot dogs rather than competing in the 2024 Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. The statement continued, saying in part, quote, "We hope that he returns when he is not representing a rival brand." Chestnut has won the event each of the last 8 years, downing 62 hot dogs and buns to win the 2023 contest.
Fox's Joe Morgan. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
John Rahm pieces out of this week's U.S. Open at Pinehurst #2 because of a left foot injury. The tournament gets underway starting on Thursday. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis has been downgraded to questionable for tomorrow's Game 3 of the NBA Finals, with Porzingis calling the bodily issue a random situation, said he felt something and now he has to deal with it. USA Basketball, in a public statement, said the reason Caitlin Clark was left off the summer's Olympic women's team and their roster was because she didn't have enough experience. One team rep even said that the selection process was based not on a popularity contest. Right now in Major League Baseball, 3 games are up and running. Scoreless between the Orioles and the Braves in the second. Scoreless between the Tigers and the Nationals in the second. And no runs between the Rays and the Cubs from Tampa in the first, as mentioned. I'm Brian Fenley.
The Republican primary election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of Summertime Fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here is Manning Kimmel.
Hey, good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. Welcome into WRHI's ongoing coverage of what's going on with the elections, and we have no results yet. None. Don't bother to call this radio station because we have none. Gary Simrel couldn't get them all together. No, I'm just teasing. We're joined by Tyler Cupp. We're Matt Hires over here. Gary Simrel, of course, the man with all the brains, and a whole group of people in the other room over there. Tyler?
So you are listening to today's vote. We should give all the ways you can listen and watch us. And Manning, I think you said this one time off the air, and I'll say it on the air. If you can't find us, it's your problem.
That's exactly
We
right.
are on WRHI 100.1, AM 1340, the original, the downloadable mobile app. We are also on CN2. We are also on YouTube, Facebook Live, a number of ways to watch us, to listen to today's vote, to see how you voted in York County. We'll also follow some races that involve Lancaster County, Chester County, and along the state as well. Of course, this is Republican primary day, and we have myself, Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, Matt Hires, Seth Eves, Ryan Foles, Jacob Cullen, and former House Representative and Special Assistant in the Office of the President of Dr. Edward Cerna. Did I say that right? Gary Simrel.
It's close. Thank you. It'll
Pretty
work,
close.
So I got to ask Gary Simrel right out of the box. Are we going to have any kind of a decent turnout, do you think, for this election?
The hype was certainly there, and the work by the candidates. You can't deny boots on the ground from all the campaigns that we've seen. Clearly, the energy was there from those camps. The question is, does that translate into a big turnout? And if you start looking at actual numbers that turned out, we'll know those numbers, of course, soon. But it appears to be low, and it's not just a York County low. It tends to be low across the state. So we often wonder, do we live in our own little bubble where we're dialed in to what's going on politically? I voted at Fuel Park, not a huge precinct. I was number 50 earlier in the day. I stopped by there on my way over here, and the 130th person was voting at 6:58 p.m. So that tells you the day of in Fuel Park, 130 is a very low number. So the question would be, of the Fuel Park residents, just using that one precinct as an example, what did that look like with early voting, absentee voting, and the day of voting, what that percentage was just in that precinct, and then extrapolate that countywide.
Well, I went to the Bethesda Volunteer Fire Department and voted about 4 o'clock, and I was 157 out of almost 2,000 that are registered for that precinct. 3,000, pardon me, almost 3,000 registered there. So do the math, that's less than 5%.
Yes, and downtown here, the North Side precinct, my wife just left there at about 6:45, and she was number 70.
Oh, my.
So low there. Earlier in the day, about noon, over at the Edgewood precinct, there was 31.
Ugh.
So not good downtown.
Well, as long as we're given numbers, we do know this number. There's a couple numbers we can give in this segment, and 5,700 voters early voted. That's what we know from Allison Mallard in the voter registration office. She told us that number yesterday on Palmetto Mornings, and she said, frankly, she expects that it could be a low turnout for today, and she gave a number of factors. This primary coming a week after graduations, really 2 weeks after you had the York, Clover, Fort Mill graduations, and just a couple days after the Rock Hill Schools graduations. And normally that is a week for vacations for a lot of families, and a lot of people could be out of town. You have to factor that in.
So Gary Simrel has something there in terms of a turnout. Give it to us.
So Richburg, turns out, is one of the early boxes that I have seen that's posted on the door. In that, of course, you got the District 17 race, right, which Mike Fanning is the incumbent, but you have a three-way primary to challenge him in November. And in that precinct, Tibby Sente with 12, Trip McCoy with 13, Everett Stubbs with 70, commanding vote there. And, of course, in that district as well is Representative Randy Ligon, and he is challenged, of course, by Elias Irizarry. 77 for Mr. Ligon, 19 for Mr. Irizarry.
All right, there you go. Now, Manning, I know you didn't expect our first box total at 7-11.
Oh, boy, there we go.
But, guys, let's talk about this, though. 19 Republican candidates in this primary, at least for those in the races that we have been following, York County, and again, those involving Lancaster and Chester counties. You got the York County Sheriff. Let's go through the Solicitor, Circuit 16. Of course, that's Kevin Brackett and Tyler Bratton. We'll get to these candidates in just a bit. But State Senate, District 17, we just gave you a box total on that. State House of Representatives, District 26. State House of Representatives, District 43. State House Rep, District 66. And we have a county council seat in a primary tonight, District 2. That is the seat held by Allison Love, being challenged by Jason Amitler and Andy Litton. So when you think about all these candidates, Manning, I'll start with you. You had the opportunity to interview a majority of these folks on Straight Talk. And obviously you do a phenomenal job in doing it so long, but it is kind of hard to kind of discern when you have so many candidates and what sets them apart, especially in that York County Sheriff's race.
Yeah, every one of the sheriff's candidates has a long litany of service, been there for 20, 25 plus years. So what distinguishes them?
Right.
In the case of Beth Tolson, she's a female. And one of the things she said in the program is she wants to see that seat filled by a female so it can be a role model to other women who are in law enforcement, that they can, in fact, move up the rung and become a sheriff if that's what they want to do. The other candidates, I've got tons of notes about all of them, and maybe we can get into that a little bit later. But it got down to me, this whole issue about administrative experience. Because this is a large department. I mean, you're talking about 500 people, roughly, between detention and the sheriff's office. So I have no idea what it's like to manage 500 people. It's all we can do to 15 or 20 here. So 500 is just a whole nother world. And I think people needed to really take a look at that in terms of who's done that in the past. And, some people have had some experience, but I think, one candidate kind of had a great deal of experience, and that's Michael Belk, because he's the basically chief deputy or whatever, the second in command down at the Rock Hill Police Department. So anyway, there's lots of stuff about all of these candidates. I even brought all my sheets and tried to go through all my little notes on here. And if you want to get into it, we'll get into it.
Well, Gary, I want to ask you the first thing I thought of when we talked about having you on the program. You've been a part of these days, as a candidate. What is this day like? There's so much work leading up to this day, but what is this actual day like for a candidate?
It is Michelangelo. It's both agony and ecstasy all at the same time. Ecstasy that's over, agony that you just completed this task of doing it. I think that in my life, 16 times I've been on the ballot. 15 of those were successful. Now I've been 2 times not on a ballot. And I can promise you the 2 times are better than the 15 or the extra one that I endured. But it is tough. It is tough on the candidate, and it's probably tougher on the candidate's family because while you can take barbs and deflect because your adrenaline's flowing, you're in the race, your family, your children, when they hear negative comments or see negative pieces, or even in school, when this was unfolding back in April and May and school was still in, for those candidates, that probably is the toughest part of what you would face. But you build to the crescendo. Today is the day. You go around to the polling places and sit back and wait.
Well, we'll probably talk about this throughout the night, but I'm always curious when you are leading a campaign and you have all these folks that help you, and you kind of alluded to it. After 7 o'clock, you've got people at all these precincts getting you numbers, and it's stressful in a way, but it's also, you got people getting those numbers, and you should have them before the mass public does to kind of see what's going on, right? Well,
and the good news about having volunteers is that, the election polling places actually post the results on the door once they've tabulated before they send that to York. So if you use grassroots, you can actually determine your election within probably 20 or 30 minutes. The difficulty is having someone at every one of those polling places in York, Lancaster, Chester County, in our area.
Yeah. We've toyed with the idea, who could we get? A couple of Boy Scout troops maybe to go out to all these places and take pictures of the little tapes that they put out just so we could get the results. It's amazing that we've taken something that was relatively simple years ago and made it so complicated that we'll be here for hours trying to get any kind of results. We used to go actually camp out at the election office.
Yep.
And as the precincts reported in, they would get a sheet of paper, and we knew what those numbers were, and we do some unofficial tallies right here. Now everything is done electronically. Every precinct, when it closes, will grab those little electronic cubes, and they'll have to run them by hand, by car, right on over to the election board office. Cannot transmit them electronically because of the idea of hacking and what have you. And that's the way it's done. And then all the results go down to the funky state of South Carolina system, which I think leaves a lot to be desired. And that's the way it is. Well, you should have done a better job on that, Gary, when you were down there.
I left that to Brandon Newton, and he delivered. He delivered after 2020. And speaking to that, Manning, I mean, we had questions about the 2020 election, as you know, from a federal perspective. And, of course, we don't have a federal election. We have 50 different states that have elections. And so those questions came. And so after that, it was South Carolina who came to the forefront to make sure our elections had integrity, were safe, and Brandon Newton did handle that bill for us. I was the majority leader at the time, and we were able to put forth that. South Carolina now ranks as one of the best states in the union for having safe and fair and accountable elections. So those things are important.
I got you. And it's interesting because I had forgotten. It's been 2 years since I voted. When I voted for who I was going to vote for, the sheet comes back, and it's actually written there that you can see who you voted for. So if there's a mistake, you can get it fixed. And before they shove it into the computer for it to be tabulated. So it's a safe system, but it is, and I'm not talking about that part of it. I'm talking about the tabulation of it. It's so slow.
I think the part that still fascinates me is taking the cube by hand instead of, why can't it just be an electronic message or email?
You know why?
Yeah.
I mean, but I thought since they had this encryption system that they might be able to bypass that, but that's not the way it works. It is
Certainly
what it is.
Not.
All right, let's step aside for our first commercial timeout, 18 after the hour. Again, we are giving you today's vote. We will go through the races next time out, go through the races, kind of give you all the names and kind of lay the groundwork with what we're talking about tonight. You are listening to Election 2024, the primaries, here on WRHI.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass Rock Hill, and in Lake Wiley.
Problem solving, that's our job at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We work with families and businesses needing to sell real estate and personal property, and our turnkey system ensures that what they want sold gets sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions, online at theligoncompany.com.
This is Vinny Eder of AirTech. Our business is growing, and if you have experience or prior training as a heating and air technician, we need you. Pay is based on experience, and you have the opportunity to advance.
Willing to learn? AirTech will teach you. Call 327-7100 and receive the area's best starting base pay.
Are you looking to elevate your hydration game with Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant? Whether you're a professional athlete, fitness enthusiast, or just someone who's always on the go, Smart Water Alkaline has got you covered. With a pH balance of 9.5 plus, added antioxidant, and electrolytes for taste, we'll focus on keeping you hydrated so you can focus on raising the bar. Elevate how you hydrate with Smart Water Alkaline.
Distributed by Rock Hill Coca-Cola Bottling Company. The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here is Manning Kimmel.
And back we are here in Election Central at WRHI. Tyler, you're smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah.
We know why.
All right, so let's go through each race and give you all the names. And I want to bring up something that Gary Simmerl talked about off the air that we can bring on the air that I think is a very interesting point that gives us a lot of factors to the numbers that we are going to see and maybe not see in this primary. So let's start with York County Sheriff, the 5 candidates there: Tony Breeden, Beth Tolson, Michael Belk, Chris Blevins, and Heath Clevenger. For 16th Circuit Solicitor, Kevin Brackett, of course, has that seat, and Tyler Bratton is the challenger. For State Senate District 17, again, all these the Republican primaries. The winner of this race will face Senator Mike Fanning in November. So you have Tibby Sente, Trip McCoy, and Everett Stubbs. State House of Representatives District 26, Elizabeth Enns and David Martin. That is Ray Felder's old seat. State House of Representatives District 43, you have, of course, Randy Ligon, who holds that seat, facing Elias Irizarry. State House of Representatives District 66, it is Michelle Branning and Jackie Tarabile. And then County Council District 2, Allison Love holds that seat. She is being challenged by Andy Linton and Jason Amitler. Gary, I want to kind of give you the floor here. I had a comment to make, but I wanted to give you the floor in terms of what you were talking about earlier in, maybe the lack of voting and then maybe the lack of candidates in certain races, or the lack of challengers, we should say, in certain primaries. There's a number of House representatives and senators that have no challengers, and I thought you brought up a good point why that is.
Well, I think there's a general satisfaction, especially in this area, if you look at the way York County has grown, the way Rock Hill has grown, that people want to be here. There's a satisfaction that things are happening here. So if you look kind of in the, I call it the center districts of Rock Hill and York County, you have Heath Sessions, District 46, went unopposed. You have Brandon Guffey, District 48, unopposed. You have Ralph Norman, who is our congressman. He is unopposed. I mean, these things, Senator Wes Clymer, who represents the heart of Rock Hill and then out toward York, he is unopposed. Michael Johnson, the Lancaster, Fort Mill area, he is unopposed. I think that speaks volumes. I think it speaks volumes for who we are. And then if you start unpacking this sheriff's race with 5 candidates, it too would have been unopposed.
Yeah.
I mean, Sheriff Tolson would have been the only one on the ballot. And then you start looking at the other seats in Ray Felder's seat, District 26, David O'Neill's seat, District 66. Those are open seats. And the fact you have open seats and there are only 2 people in each of those, that also speaks volumes. So I think for our area, what we are seeing more and more is a general appreciation for leadership here throughout the community.
You have to ask yourself, though, to be a candidate and run, you got to have money. These races are not inexpensive. I mean, I'm sure the ones you've just mentioned, they're going to be $50,000 to $100,000 for a candidate to run.
I would say at a minimum.
At a minimum. Well, that I think excludes a lot of people, but that's just the way the game is played. You got to have somebody who can help you with all your media stuff. You got to have the polling numbers. You got to know what to say, what not to say. Da 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 da. Long far cry from. I can remember when we first started doing election returns 40 years ago. They used to have the stump meetings out at the fire station right out there in Bethesda. And I'm not kidding you. They actually had a stump where they would stand up on the stump and give their speech, and we had the microphones there, and we broadcast that whole thing. Far cry from the way they do it today.
No doubt about that. And if you project, if you're thinking about running for office, you say, I want to get involved at the local level, at the state level, what is my time involvement? So if you run for the school board, there's a time involvement. If you run for local council, there's a time involvement, but you're in town. When you run for the state house, you're 75 miles from Rock Hill to the state capitol in Columbia. It's a sacrifice, not only your family, your time, but your income. And so those are other things. Not only do you spend a lot of money getting there, you lose a lot of money when you arrive. And so I think a lot of times
30 years he knows
that people don't project all the way through that. And so maybe a more educated public is saying, I would like to offer myself for public service. My house payment objects.
Did you ever, just out of curiosity, calculate the number of miles that you drove back and forth over 30 years?
The good news about me being the business I was in, I swapped cars a lot, so I never really wore out a vehicle, but I commuted. So I did not stay in Columbia. So every day we were in session, I came back to Rock Hill. Going to Columbia was fairly easy. Coming back, I remember thinking on numerous occasions, you mean I'm only in Winsboro?
Good point.
Well, I wanted to talk about this York County Sheriff race because you kind of tiptoe around it, but it is the elephant in the room. When this reopened back up, there was talk of, well, why did nobody put in initially? And it was because of exactly what you said, Gary. There were Republican and Democrats, both sides of the fence, saying, well, Kevin Tolson's done such a phenomenal job. It speaks to the job he's done that he did not have any challengers up to that cutoff date. And when it was opened up, I don't think it was any knock against Beth Tolson. Of course, there's always going to be optics and opinions. But when you have an open seat, there's going to be more people that think they can do that job, people that have been waiting to make that challenge and to take it. It was an open job. I think that was more of a way to look at it rather than challenging Beth Tolson, I think.
I do too, and I also think this just shows, and you have 5 great candidates. Mm-hmm. This is so fortunate for York County. But the respect within law, we talk about thin blue line, but the respect that law enforcement has for each other, not challenging because they knew that Kevin Tolson, our sheriff, was doing an exemplary job. And so it was only when it opened that I heard numerous candidates that you interviewed say, I have long wanted to do this, but I certainly wouldn't challenge a person that is doing this type of job, and we're very satisfied. Well, this opened that opportunity up for them because if you go to Bruce Bryant prior to Kevin Tolson, he served 20 years. So these seats for an incumbent tend to stay. But again, it goes back to that general satisfaction. If you go back to the late 80s, early 90s, there was a little discord. Mm-hmm. We had some swapping around in the sheriff's department as far as who was the sheriff during that time. But once Sheriff Bryant came in 1996, from then on, we've seen steadiness there as the county has grown. So, this is an opportunity for 5 stellar candidates to offer their wares, tell their plan. And I have not seen, from my perspective, one negative campaign piece or comment from any of these candidates.
In fact, the candidates said, some of them said, when we had them on Straight Talk, that they were not going to do anything negative, right? Because they respected all of them, and they respected the position. I don't know how we are time-wise here. We okay, or what do we do? Okay, all right. Here's some tidbits that I pulled from each one of these candidates. You know, when I talked with Beth Tolson, who happened to be the last of the sheriff's candidates to be interviewed, she was very open about wanting to talk about this whole filing debacle. And I said, I'm not interested in going through that. She said, I am. I want to tell the story. And she told the story. I don't need to tell it again. But she also talked about, you know, she was very big about how much the York County Sheriff's Office is a part of her. From like day one, when her daddy, Bruce, took over, she was there. You know, she was just as a child growing up in that department. And she said, you know, I want to take care of all the men and women in the department as well as the citizens of York County. So then we go over to Michael Belk. He pointed out that one of the things he wanted to make clear was he is the one candidate still active, you know, in the police department, and the only one that has gone past the rank of lieutenant, because he is now, I don't know what the right terminology, chief deputy or
assistant chief.
Assistant chief, that's it, okay. And he's got an awful lot of administrative experience. So that's one of the things he was talking about. Heath Clevenger talked about, you know, he wanted to expand, which a lot of them wanted to do, the Drug Enforcement Unit, but he said, I want it to be an intel-based policing. I want us to get more intelligence to get out there so we can break up these gangs before they become big problems. Chris Blevins, his key thing was wanting to have a better career ladder for those that are in the department so they don't feel like they're stuck. You know, they might be able to go two different ways when they're in the police department. And he also talked an awful lot about finding people and wanting to establish a cadet program for high schoolers so they could get a taste as to what law enforcement was all about. And then Tony Breeden, when we talked to him, he said the most important thing being the sheriff is have the confidence of the people that you're working with. And I am motivated to do that. And he said, I am not bringing the Rock Hill Police Department to York County. I want to make that very clear. You know, the county is the county and the city is the city, and I'm not bringing my experience with the Rock Hill Police Department to York County. So that's just a brief look at what these candidates have to say.
So we are getting some numbers coming in. Unfortunately, they are not the numbers on the races that we have been following. There are more some races than Lancaster-Chester, and also the Congress seat, Nancy Mace, is being challenged. So we have some numbers on that. So we will step aside, take a time out, come back. We'll give you some of those numbers and continuing our conversation with today's vote in the statewide primary.
This is Mike Elder. We're the pool care specialists at Imperial Pool and Spa in Lake Wiley and Rock Hill. We're your local BioGuard dealer, ready to assist you with a wealth of pool care knowledge, wide range of proven BioGuard products, and everything needed to establish the best system. Come see us.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APRs previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather,
call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
For 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here is Manning Kimmel.
And back we are here at Election Central at WRHI. Got a table full of experts here, people who understand all this stuff a lot more than I do. Tyler Cupp is rearranging and putting everything together.
All right, so we've got some numbers here. Matt Hires, I'm going to go to you first. I have got some Clover box numbers in District 2, but I'm going to go to you first because we have some numbers coming in for U.S. House of Representatives District 1. That is Nancy Mace's seat. We also have State Senate District 27. So, Matt, go ahead.
That's right. The U.S. House of Representatives District 1, Nancy Mace, she's going to be seeking a third term. And in the Republican primary down there on the coast, it looks like she's leading. She's got 4,676 votes over Catherine Templeton. She was the former director of South Carolina Labor Licensing and Regulation. Catherine has 2,172. And the third candidate in that primary, Bill Young, the Marine Corps veteran, he has 1,080 votes. Now, on the other side, there's also a Democratic primary, and Michael Moore, not the filmmaker, he's leading his opponent, Mac DeFord, 2,383 votes to 1,567. Also, we're getting an update from U.S. House of Representatives District 3. That's over in the Anderson, Oconee, Pickens area where Jeff Duncan, the 7-term congressman, is retiring. Looks like in the Republican primary, we've got Stuart D. Jones out to a 35% lead over Sherry Biggs, his next closest competitor, with 28.36, and that is a primary of 7. So we thought we had a lot running for sheriff. We got those, and also over in the Democratic primary there in District 3, Byron Best is leading Francis Goldner, 622 votes to 284.
Before I give the District 2 and County Council race numbers, let's go to State Senate District 27. This is Alan Blackman and Penry Gustafson. This involves Lancaster County and Kershaw County. Alan Blackman leads right now with 620 votes to Penry Gustafson with 218 votes. Now, let's get to that County Council District 2 seat. I have 4 boxes. I do not have the totals, so bear with me. The Roosevelt Precinct, Lytton, 152 votes, Amitler, 19 votes, Allison Love, 51 votes. Pole Branch, this is Lytton leads that box with 226 votes, Allison Love with 75 votes, and Amitler with 8 votes. This is River's Edge at Bethel Baptist Church. Lytton leads there with 309 votes. Allison Love has 112 votes. And Amitler had 20 votes. And the fourth box total, again, this is 21 different precincts in District 2 for County Council. Lytton with 188 votes. Allison Love with 88. And Amitler with 16. And what I have here looks like Lytton so far has 69% of the vote. Allison Love with 26%. And Amitler with 5%. Again, that is District 2 County Council there.
And only 4 out of 21 precincts.
Correct. 4 out of 21. Yes.
And these are obtained the old-fashioned way too. Yeah. So they're not transmitted through the interweb yet. So he's getting those piecemeal. We certainly want to thank those folks getting the results in. Like we said, the old-fashioned way.
That'll be a merit badge.
That's the ballot collecting merit badge, ballot harvesting.
Exactly.
And I got another box coming in from that District 2, River's Edge. Lytton with 309 votes, Allison Love with 112, and Amitler with 20.
Well, I would guess that Jason Amitler is probably not going to be a factor in this race. You surprised by these numbers so far, Gary?
That race has been, in that area specifically, has certainly been one that has been talked about and ballyhooed around with an incumbent having 2 challengers. So the numbers for to be, I would call, in the early boxes, that degree shows a clear trend. I think where you have to look in this district as well is areas. That's a large swath of territory, so you always think about how River Hills votes versus the land over near 557 and heading toward Clover, and where these boxes are. Pole Branch is an example there versus River Hills. I don't know if we've seen those boxes, but these numbers in the trending of them certainly spell difficult times tonight for Allison Love.
And that's Clover, Lake Wiley, and I think a small portion of York, I believe, too.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, it's a pretty angry race up there. You'll notice this long social media piece that came out from Andy Litton. And he said, "You have seen all the dirt that the incumbent has thrown out there to discredit my candidacy." It goes through chapter and verse of all this stuff. And he said that they're angry because I believe we should expect integrity, honesty, transparency, and accountability from our elected representatives. And then he goes through a page and a half of all the things that he contends that the incumbent has done wrong. I mean, including violating First Amendment rights by blocking residents on her official council social media profile. I mean, it just goes through a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway.
Of all the races, I think we can say this and not offend anybody. Of all the races we have tonight, that one unfortunately has gotten a little ugly, unfortunately. Yeah.
There are a handful of those around the state.
Yeah.
You can pick them out for the most part. We use, of course, our sheriff's race as kind of the hallmark of being very principled and very kind in the way they deliver. A lot of these other races, obviously, that's not the case.
And I think we should say this too, man, and you say it a lot, and I appreciate that you say it because it's something that I've kind of picked up when I talk to candidates, and whether it's in this area or around the state. It's a sacrifice of their time. Gary, you mentioned the family aspect earlier. But also, when you talk about the educated voter forums and the debates, we've had a lot of those in this area. And props to all of the organizations that have organized those, having those. The sheriff candidates, I believe, got together on 3 separate occasions. 2 of which we were able to record and put on our website, and people were very interested in those.
I mean, we had thousands of people
absolutely
who listened to those debates. I was amazed. I was really stunned on that one.
So props to not only the organizations who put those together, but also the candidates for giving their time and educating the voters on their passions and why they feel they should be selected.
So I have to ask Representative Simrel here a question that this piece that came out from the Republican Party, it really surprised me. This below is a message from Elias Irizarry, District 43, saying why he's running, and it came out from the chairman of the York County Republican Party, Larry Barnett. It seems to me like that's picking sides within your own party.
Well, and parties can decide to do what they want to do, and you have an executive committee that allows that to happen. In the years that I spent, when I first started running as a Republican, we could all gather in a very small booth, not a phone booth, but a booth at Thursday's to a restaurant, and that's where we gathered. And so there were very few of us, and so we stuck together. If you notice today in York County specifically, that there are really 2 different conservative groups.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That actually hold meetings in York County. And so as an executive committee, they had decided that they would endorse candidates, and it's really their right to do so. The difficulty with that is it's hard to build membership if someone is getting involved and they think you already got your thumb on the scale against who they are, or there's some litmus that you have to pass. I mean, I go back to Ronald Reagan, and he talked about the party being a growing party and the big tent party full of different ideas. And so that now, I think, has changed to a large degree and is more narrowly focused on certain issues.
Well, it's true that politics is a blood sport, and it can be that way when you get into some of these contentious races. So you have the party picking and choosing favorites.
It certainly has. And Tyler Cupp and I have discussed this a couple times. Mm-hmm. It's pretty unorthodox for a county party to decide to endorse certain candidates, and they actually went a step further. Larry Barnett and this York County Republican Party, this new executive committee that kind of took power 2 years ago, not only did they endorse candidates, but they also helped fund them and donated and within their own primary against other Republican primary opponents. So it is their right within their party. They can certainly do so, but I think it would be categorized as unorthodox.
So I do have some numbers coming in that I can give an update on. This is for State Senate District 17, and we appreciate folks listening and folks out in the community sending us these, so thank you so much. I've got, let's see, a couple of box totals. Let's see. Again, this is State Senate District 17 between Tibby Sente, Trip McCoy, and Everett Stubbs. This is Leslie, the precinct of Leslie. And Stubbs with 105 votes. McCoy with 44 votes. Sente with 26. Anderson Road at the Baxter Hood Center. Stubbs with 24 votes. McCoy with 14. Sente with 11. We will go to Manchester now. Stubbs with 46 votes. McCoy 21. Sente 19. Neely's Creek. That's at Catawba Baptist Church. Stubbs with 77 votes. McCoy with 39. Sente with 26. So far, looks like I'm reading this correctly. Stubbs has 272 votes. McCoy with 50. Sente with 26. Now, these look to be the Rock Hill precincts. We are still getting numbers on that race. You had read one out of Louisville. I have a Great Falls box here. Everett Stubbs with 38. Tibby Sente with 18. Trip McCoy with 8. You have one, Matt?
We have several. We're actually starting to get official results from the state from York County.
Oh, my.
And we're going to start off with the heavy hitters at Sheriff in alphabetical order. Michael Belk coming in with 1,710 votes. Chris Blevins, 877. Tony Breeden, 1,510. Heath Clevenger, 649. And Beth Tolson, 1,088. So only 5,800 votes cast there for the sheriff, and it looks like the early lead, slim lead, is to Michael Belk.
Well, we got some other numbers here. This is, of course, the County Council District 2 race. This is with 7 precincts reporting. Those precincts would be Roosevelt, Larne, Pole Branch, Lake Shore, River's Edge, New Home, and Allison Creek. Mettler has 121 votes, Lytton 1,359, Love 481. So that's pretty interesting with 7 precincts, and you got a bunch to go.
Yeah.
But those are the latest numbers we have on that race.
All right, and going back up across the river into Fort Mill State House of Representatives District 26, David Martin goes out to an early lead with 593 votes to Elizabeth Enns with 477. And back up in Fort Mill, the State House Representatives District 66, Michelle Branning has an early lead of 704 votes to Jackie Terabile of 594.
And I'm wondering if these are the votes that Allison Mallard told me would come in between 7:30 and 8, the early voting numbers. She said those should be uploaded before 8 o'clock, and it looks like we have those. So there's some other races we can give you an update on. Let's step aside for a timeout because it looks like there's a lot more numbers we can give you. So we'll hold on to that. But more to come. We are listening to the election and watching election 2024, the primaries, and how you voted on WRHI.
Not all swimming pools should be maintained the same way. This is Barrett Elder with Imperial Pools. We're your professional BioGuard authorized dealer, and we have a customized care plan for your pool. Bring in your water sample for expert analysis, and we'll help you keep your water clear and sparkling all season long. Stop by with questions and walk away with a customized BioGuard pool care program, tailored to meet all your needs.
See us in Rock Hill and Lake Wiley.
Selling real estate and personal property. That's what Ligon Realty and Auctions does for families and businesses. This is Randy Ligon. For 25 years, we've helped businesses liquidate real estate and equipment and families dealing with estates. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
This is Benny Eder of AirTech Heating and Air. If your air conditioning and heating system is over 10 years old, call me at 327-7100 and we'll show you how you can save over 40% on your everyday home or business energy costs.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
Call 327-7100, making weather better for 3 decades.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here is Manning Kimmel.
Back we are here at Election Central on WRHI, 10 minutes before the hour of 8 o'clock. Tyler?
All right, so we are getting a lot of numbers, fast and furious, a lot quicker than we thought, which is a good thing because we got a lot of folks tuning in. We appreciate all the folks that are either listening or sending us numbers from around the Tri-County. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have some updated numbers here. Let me give you some of those races that I previewed right before we went to the commercial break. We have some updated numbers. And again, I'm just going to run through some of the races that I have starred and also some of the races that we are following in the Tri-County. State Senate District 27. This was that race with Alan Blackman and Penry Gustafson. Alan Blackman leading right now, 1,448 to Penry Gustafson at 325. State House Representatives District 26, that is David Martin still leading, 593 to 477. Again, I'm thinking some of these are certainly early voting. Randy Ligon leading Elias Irizarry, 791 votes to 238 votes so far. Let's see, Brandon Newton leads Vic Dabney, 529 votes to 72 votes. State House Representatives District 66, Michelle Branning, 704 votes to Jackie Tarabile, 594 votes. And 16th Circuit Solicitor, the incumbent, Kevin Brackett, he leads the way, 4,386 votes to Tyler Bratton, 1,302 votes. Matt, do we have another update on York County Sheriff? Did you say you did?
That is the same numbers as we reported before the break. Michael Belk leading so far with 1,710 votes. Coming in a close second, Tony Breeden with 1,510 votes. Then in third, we have sitting Beth Tolson with 1,088. Fourth, Chris Blevins with 877. And bringing up fifth, Heath Clevenger with 649 votes. But it is still very early in this contest.
And I have one last update before we go to Manning, who's got some interesting numbers on this race. And speaking of numbers, I've got an update on State Senate District 17. This is a race that involves York County, also involves Chester County, and parts of Fairfield as well. This race right now between Stubbs, Sente, and McCoy. Stubbs, 1,295 votes. McCoy, 483 votes. Sente, 311 votes. And that is, trying to see how many precincts. It's 56 total boxes, but it looks like they only have a portion of those.
About 26, I think.
Yeah,
right.
About 20 plus. Yep, that's right.
So Stubbs has well over 60% of the vote.
Right now. Mm-hmm.
Right now. So you talk about dollars and cents, and this comes from the state ethics reporting. You take a look at the sheriff's race. Belk raised $8,810 and loaned his campaign another $18,000. Breeden raised $34,435, no loans. Heath raised $21,811 and loaned his campaign $9,000 more. Beth Tolson raised $29,790 and loaned her campaign $8,000. Blevins raised $15,780. By comparison, the last sheriff's race where there was a primary challenge, Kevin Tolson raised $58,508. How about that? Then if you look over to House District number 26, Enns raised $57,666. Martin, not far behind, $54,511 with a $9,000 loan. Senate District number 17 that we just talked about. Tibby Sente raised $11,660, loaned himself $10,000. McCoy raised $4,605 and loaned himself $10,000 and given $10,100 of his own money as well. And then Stubbs raised $115,165 and only loaned himself $400. So he's got a lot of donors,
Well, let's talk about that. Gary, when it comes to that aspect of the campaigns, you know, we have talked so much about the sacrifice of time and the family aspect. We've touched on different parts of it. You're also putting your reputation on the line as well. You're putting yourself out there. what are some of the things? Where do you start when it comes to raising money? Where do you start? What's the first thing you do?
Well, I said there's nothing like a good friend or family, right? To go. It's like when you're selling greeting cards when you're a kid. You start at home, but that works obviously. But in the case of Everett Stubbs too, I mean, I think he had a statewide presence prior to just this. Well known in the community, generational. In that area.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are business owners.
They're business owners. He's an attorney, but I call him a kind of a country lawyer, in aspects of what he does, head of Ducks Unlimited. So his ability for people to invest in who he is and believe in him is far-reaching. And so we talk about like opening a business. You have this great business idea. You have to have capitalization. If you're not capitalized, the business, as good as the idea may be, it has a hard time succeeding. The same thing happens in politics. Yeah. If you can't get your message out, it is difficult to rise above 50%. And so those things make a huge difference. In this case, Everett, was all over the district. I'm sure the other candidates were too, but he had the investment from his fellow South Carolinians and fellow folks in District 17 that believed in him and they invested in him. And I think a lot of times that does tend to make a difference. But you got to have the product that people want to buy, and Everett has the product that people want to buy.
And I think in the case of Everett Stubbs, too, it's worth noting he got such an early start saying, yes, I am going to run for this Senate seat. You started seeing Everett signs out in December of this year. And usually kind of the rule of thumb with campaigns, you kind of want to look at that 90-day sweet spot when you want to start distributing all that stuff. And he said, well, people started asking for them, so I just started putting them out. And obviously, as the night wears on, it looks like that was a good strategy on his part. And I think that really gave him an early jump on maybe getting some endorsements, getting some funds coming in early. So he got an early start on that.
And according to the numbers we have right now, and you're right, there's 56 boxes in this race. And Stubbs has a commanding lead right now, about 62% of the vote. McCoy, 23%. Sente with about 15%. A lot of boxes to go yet.
Yeah, about 17% of the precincts reporting in that State Senate District 17 race. So a lot of numbers that we have given already. Surprisingly, there was a thought that we would only have a fraction of the numbers we've given you. We had heard that we may not get kind of the major winners and whatnot until after 8:30 or so, but we are going to be contacting some folks in the next couple of minutes or so, maybe a little after 8 o'clock. Some of these races, they should be getting a much better idea, as we already talked about with that State Senate District 17 seat, in terms of all the people going out and getting the numbers. We've given you a lot of updates on County Council District 2. Matt, I wanted to go to you kind of a couple times throughout the night. There were some of the state races in the statewide primary that we were kind of following. You had given some kind of background on that Nancy Mace seat. And that's interesting. Myself and Stephen Stone, when we're doing the news throughout the day, we'll pull some stuff from Fox News, some audio from Lindsey Graham and Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman. She's actually been kind of quiet, hasn't really been out there. A lot of times during election season, they'll be on more talk shows more than normal, but haven't really heard much from her. But right now she's doing okay for that U.S. House of Representative seat. That's
right. And knowing Nancy Mace from our college days, that is pretty atypical of her to stay quiet. But she is starting to get out to a commanding lead here in her race, in her primary. She is tallying 6,527 votes over Catherine Templeton, who has 2,996, and the third competitor in that Republican primary, Bill Young, he has 1,537 votes. So it looks like Nancy Mace, she's inching closer to declaring victory in tonight's primary down in U.S. House of Representatives District 1. That's Charleston, Mount Pleasant, and Port Royal, and part of Beaufort. And there was a race you were paying attention to. You said you wanted to mention it was the race with Dick Harpootlian, right? Yes, and zero results so far. Zero. So there, nothing on that one. So Allison Mallard, you're doing way better than them down in Columbia and St. Matthews. Yes. So Dick Harpootlian, of course, he's been a fixture in South Carolina state politics, former state chairman of the South Carolina Democratic Party. Most recently, famous or infamous for defending Alec Murdaugh He's been in the state Senate for quite a while, and that's one. His opponent was capitalizing. Russell Ott was capitalizing on that, and we'll see what comes of that as the night goes on.
Sometimes we have to state the obvious, but in an instance like that, when you're a representative in a high-profile trial, that can hurt or help your campaign, depending on how it goes. But that's just kind of part of the process, isn't it, Gary? When you're, whatever job you do, however you're represented, when you put yourself out there, your reputation right there is on the line.
Well, the old saying was, as long as they spell your name right. I don't know how many people can spell Harpootlian just in the general public, but I've always said of Dick, and he has a keen intellect, but he's never met a camera he didn't like or a microphone that he didn't want to be a part of a conversation with. And so, however, there's the other side of that sword, and that sword is things that you say obviously can be used against you, especially if there's a long history of saying things that maybe have a taint to them in certain ways. And I think, to Matt's point, Representative Russell Ott has certainly exercised that. It's interesting in that particular race, though, because it is a new district. Yes. Dick Harpootlian's district was actually collapsed. So the district that he represented up through 2022 is not the same district that he's running in today. That's actually Nikki Setzler's district that has Lexington, Richland. It moved more into Richland. And so it created an opportunity for Dick to then run for a seat that was no longer available to him. And, of course, it happened to go down into the St. Matthews as Calhoun County that Russell Ott saw as an opportunity. So the dichotomy within that district, just the demography, as well as the geography, makes it somewhat of a unicorn in the state of South Carolina.
It does, and you can tell also, of course, Senator Dick Harpootlian and Representative Ott, they're in the Democratic primary for that Senate seat. But on the Republican side, they're also having a three-way primary for that seat for Carlisle Kennedy, Katrina Shealy, and Zoe Warren. They're all vying for that seat as well. So it's really one of the more well-balanced, truly purple seats, I guess you would call it.
All right, let's step aside. Top of the hour break. We will take care of some business. Come back. Hopefully, we'll have some more numbers, some more updates to give you. You are listening to Election Coverage 2024 on WRHI.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
Helping businesses sell real estate and equipment, and families sell mom and dad's belongings, even the house itself. That's what we do at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We help businesses and families get their stuff sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again, we're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass, Rock Hill, and in Lake Wiley.
Fox News, I'm Tom Graham. Hunter Biden found guilty on 3 felony charges. Prosecutors argued he lied about his drug use on a federal form while purchasing a firearm. Fox's Jillian Turner says President Biden put out a statement saying he will continue to respect the judicial process.
The president's official statement seems to confirm that Hunter Biden's team is at least considering appealing his conviction. This came out from the White House before the defense team had even said anything about it.
President Biden traveling to Delaware this afternoon to meet with his son following the conviction. The Biden administration proposing a new rule aimed at providing some relief for those in medical debt.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau said it's planning a rule that would remove medical bills from credit reports, so lenders wouldn't be able to see them when considering whether someone should have a car or home loan.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America is listening to Fox News.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here is Manning Kimmel.
And back we are here at Election Central at WRHI. 5 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. Numbers are beginning to roll in. Lots going on. Tyler?
All right, so we had some text messages, people wanting us to give continuous updates on that York County Sheriff race. Here is what we have right now. It's been about the same the last 20 minutes, but we're going to do our best to make some calls, try to get some updated numbers on this race. Again, the race for York County Sheriff in the Republican primary, 5 candidates right now. Michael Belk has 29% of the vote, 1,710 votes. Second in that race is Tony Breeden with 25% of the vote, 1,510 votes. Third in that race is Beth Bryant Tolson, 1,088 votes. I guess it would be fourth would be Chris Blevins with 877 votes, and then Heath Clevenger with 649 votes. So once again, York County Sheriff's race, Michael Belk leading the way, second, Tony Breeden, and Beth Tolson third. We are expecting a runoff in that race for so many candidates. Obviously, to win that race, you have to have 50% plus one.
Yep.
So now Gary has some unofficial results of a race that looks to be done, our first race.
By the way, we want to encourage people to send us the unofficial numbers.
Yeah.
If you see the sheets on top of the doors, take a picture of them, send them to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Or email. Hey, email.
But not without a picture. Don't be spamming us.
Yeah.
No fake news.
Send us some pictures now.
That's right. Don't spam us.
teacup@WRHI.com. Let's do it. All right, but go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, so Tyler, this is House District 26, which Ray Felder has represented for 12 years, and the votes we are showing 2,139 for David Martin, 1,774 for Elizabeth Enns. So it looks like that he is on his way to a victory in that particular seat, representing really the heart of Fort Mill. And remember, Elizabeth Enns lived in Rock Hill prior. She ran in a primary against the race that Brandon Guffey was successful in. So this is her second time, 22 in Rock Hill and then 24 in Fort Mill. Many had said that Fort Mill was a better opportunity because her business, her church, was located in Fort Mill, and her base was more in Fort Mill than Rock Hill.
Okay, so attorney David W. Martin takes down Elizabeth Enns, State House of Representatives, District 26. Again, that is unofficially, but those appear to be the numbers that we have got. So right now, that is the first race that we can give you that is pretty much done. We will try to give you official numbers as they come in, but as we have said at the top of every segment, we've tried to let you know that a lot of the official numbers may not be in until later in the evening, but we have folks around the Tri-County sending us numbers. Thank you so much for that, and we're doing our best to keep you updated as we go on through the night.
You know, when you take a look at the Martin Enns race, I'm sitting here looking at some notes from when they were on Straight Talk. You know, Martin's talked a lot about the blessing of public education in Fort Mill, and he is very much against the voucher system being used up in Fort Mill because they got such a good thing going over there. Talked a lot about public safety and property crimes and getting police what they need to do the job that they need. Elizabeth Enns, on the other side, talked a lot about her being a conservative voice. She was very much involved with the whole abortion issue and the heartbeat bill and the bathroom bill. I mean, the stuff that you deal with down in Columbia, Gary, is just amazing to me. We're spending time talking about a bathroom bill. Yeah. I mean, it's the same issue over here in the Rock Hill School District 3.
That's right. Yep.
And that's going on tonight as we sit here speaking.
They're discussing it as we speak, yeah.
I mean, this is nuts. I have no idea what's going on in public schools, but to hear this kind of stuff, and then people dressing up as cats or something, want to be a cat, please? Anyway, bathroom bills? Anyway, leave it at that.
Well, here's the beautiful thing about our constitutional system in government is, as a policymaker, if you make it through this gauntlet that we call an election, whether it's the primary and then on to the general, you get to choose which bills you want to introduce.
Yeah.
The question is building enough consensus to pass said bills. And so that becomes the issue. However, I will tell you that whether it's Washington, D.C. or whether it's South Carolina, we have certainly hit, I call it the LCD moment, and that's the lowest common denominator of talking about things that really matter not, but it gets good sound bites, to use your vernacular, and that's what people focus on. And it is unfortunate. There are many issues to deal with, some more important than others. However, when you find yourself devolving into that kind of debate, it makes it tough to govern, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier, and that is good people wanting to take the time to serve because they think, I've got to go through this process, I've got to raise money, I've got to lose money if I win, and then this is what I'm subjected to.
Mm-hmm. Gary, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you talked about something off the air that I thought was fascinating, that I think is worth letting the people out there know, is that with all this growth that we've had in the state of South Carolina, these districts seem like they're ever changing, whether it be city, county, state house, senate. They just keep changing and adding seats and whatnot. And you talked about a seat, and I only caught half the conversation, where you were talking about some of these seats, people that voted for one may have to make a decision and vote between him and someone else because of how these things have been redistricted and shifted and whatnot.
So the census dictates that every 10 years we have to look at these districts. And at one time, the Senate districts were based on counties. So there was one senator for each county. That's the reason we have 46 senators. With the Voting Rights Act, we no longer have that. They're all population-based, just like a House seat is population-based. So as South Carolina continues to grow, now over 5 million people, if you take that same number and divide the 124, now you're over 40,000 people per district. And so you've got to construct that in a geographic way that allows those people in the district. York County has been extremely fortunate. If you go back to 2010, District 26 wasn't such a thing in York County. That was the district that Ray Felder ran for. That was a new district that we got in this area because of the explosive population. Well, 10 years later in 2020, when the census was done, we ended up with District 66 in this area. So that means a district collapse. This is a new district. This is still part of the 124, right? But that means another area of the state lost a representative. Our area of the state gained one. But for us in York County to have gained 2 seats, which adds to our gravitas in Columbia, for us to add 2 seats in 2 census cycles is remarkable.
Do you think we're getting close to adding a Senate seat? Another one?
We're already there. I think just the sculpting of the way that look, and that really is Michael Johnson. I mean, Michael Johnson lives in York County, and so I think if you break it down, we have 2 senators. Michael Johnson technically represents the Lancaster area, but he represents York County, lives in York County, a portion of it, and Lancaster as well. The beauty of a Michael Johnson is he is very adept in his service and is a responsive senator, and I think he's appreciated both in York County and he's appreciated in Lancaster County.
Good.
We are still getting numbers in, and again, as of right now, 0.0 counties reporting officially. We have the numbers that we've been giving you, but I think what we're going to do is kind of restart things. We gave you a lot of numbers at the bottom of the last hour. We'll kind of reset, give you those numbers again, kind of refresh. We're going to try to get some updates over the phone and see what we can give you as best we can throughout the night, giving you how you voted election 2024 on WRHI.
For 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
Problem solving. That's our job at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We work with families and businesses needing to sell real estate and personal property, and our turnkey system ensures that what they want sold gets sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions, online at theligoncompany.com.
This is Benny Etter of AirTech. Let us improve your home's air quality with filtration systems and UV products that kill viruses and help your family breathe better, healthier air.
No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
327-7100.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APRs previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And good evening. You are listening and watching of how you voted in York County, along with Lancaster and Chester County. We have a full cast of characters. My name is Tyler Cupp, along with Manning Kimmel, Gary Simmerl, Matt Hires, our production team, Seth Eves, Ryan Foles, and also Jacob Cullen helping us out with social media. We're doing our best to give you numbers. We have told you this a couple of times that we are not expecting the mass numbers to come in until after 8:30. We do have a race that unofficially it looks like it is over. State House of Representatives, District 26, David Martin, again, unofficially has defeated Elizabeth Enns. That is 2,100 votes to 1,700 votes. Was getting a couple of updates to Senate District 17. Stubbs with 1,295 votes, McCoy 483 votes, and Tibicente 311 votes. And we believe we have someone on the line.
Kevin Brackett, I believe.
We do not.
We do not. All right. Hold on just a second here. We think we got him. Right. Now we ought to have him.
Do we have Kevin Brackett on the line? We do not. Okay. We'll try to figure that out during the next commercial
He's
break.
calling my cell number.
Yeah. Okay.
Help us.
Well, Manny, if you want to carry that, I'll figure this out.
Well, anyway, it appears that the race for solicitor is the last numbers we had was about a 4-1 lead. The incumbent Kevin Brackett over Tyler Bratton. So, with a 4-1 lead, we think that we can unofficially declare the winner of that race to be the incumbent Kevin Brackett, and we're trying to get him on the line right now to get him out there. Speaking of that race, it's interesting. He's going to be calling you. Let's see here. This is called live radio. It's interesting the materials that these candidates have put out. And now that we're in the that sounds like people. All right. We think we've got it. Tyler, you got the headset, and yep. I do not. Go right ahead.
Kevin Brackett, you with us?
I am.
All right. Well, this is Tyler Cupp. You've got Manning Kimmel. Also, Gary Simmerl, Matt Hires here. We were just calling to see.
That's quite a distinguished crew.
It certainly
is. I am honored.
Well, we only have so many numbers here. We know that you were kind of at a registration office. Probably will not give the mass numbers until after 8:30, but we do have unofficial numbers that are coming in, and it looks like you are leading by a sizable amount from the early voting numbers of 4,386 to 1,302. We were getting an update to see if you had called this.
Sure, you broke up on me at the end there. I'm sorry. You were getting an update of what?
Yeah, we were hoping to get an update from you if this race has been called yet.
It has not. I have not received any kind of notice that anybody's conceding at this point. So we soldier on and keep waiting for results to come in. But obviously, the mood here is jubilant. People are very excited and relieved. Of course, you never know how you're going to do, and so seeing these numbers come in is very gratifying, and just a very a great feeling to see the community really supports the work that we do and appreciates and understands what we do, and is recognizing that at the ballot box. So.
Well, Kevin, let's talk about your night. We have talked with Gary Simmerl, who's had nights like these. I'm sure you have a giant campaign, a cast of folks that are out there getting totals and going to each precinct and getting the numbers from all the boxes. You got a pretty good crew tonight?
Yes, we have a great crowd here tonight. I'd say we're over 100 that have come, and most of them are still here. A few have come and gone, but we've got a really great crew here. A lot of people from the office, which is wonderful. These are the folks that have been the backbone of not only the success of the office, but the success of the campaign. They've worked tirelessly to make sure that people in the community understand just what it is we do, and making sure they understand what the consequences of a loss for us would be. So it's made a huge difference. I mean, I had a small army at my side the minute I had opposition filed, and I'm grateful for all the work they've done. It's made a huge difference.
Kevin, this is Manning Kimmel. It was interesting to see some of your campaign materials. You ran on experience, and the fact that you have put a lot of bad people in jail. And it was interesting that when you sent out this one piece that it landed in my mailbox, you have convicted. I mean, you have about a dozen different people, bad people that you put in jail. And that was a big part of your campaign, the difference between the experience you had versus your opponent.
Absolutely, and that is the key thing that I hope that the voters would key in on, because it's terribly important that they understand that this isn't like a regular political office. This isn't a situation where you're looking at somebody who's making policy or raising taxes. This is a job that requires experience. It's like almost like you're voting to hire your surgeon. And you want somebody that has successfully performed surgeries, that has successfully, healed people and made a difference in their life, and they're out there in the world. And so people needed to understand that, what I offer and the experience that I have is in sharp contrast to the experience he doesn't have. This was, my opponent simply did not have the trial experience that merited this position. You can't expect to supervise a staff of attorneys when most of them have far more experience than you do. And so it's just critical that the public understood that, and I think they do. It's starting to look very clear.
Kevin, this is Gary, and I want to pre-congratulate you. I know everything's not official, but having known you for 30 years and knowing your background, knowing your resume, the reason our county is so explosive in growth, we talked about this on the show earlier, is that people find this a great place to work and live, and safety is a big component of that, and we have great law enforcement here, as you have talked about. But law enforcement is only as good as the conviction rate once they've arrested the perpetrator. And so I think what you have been able to bring to the table, following really in the footsteps of the previous solicitor, Tommy Pope, is law and order. And so your resume being on the ballot box today in York and Union counties, surely we see what is happening with your numbers coming in tonight, the difference it makes to have a community that stands behind you because they believe in what you do. So thank you for serving, and tell us a little bit more just about the campaign and about your office and getting to the point where you are tonight, just on the cusp of celebrating a huge, huge victory.
Well, you said law and order, and you said it in one context, and I'll put it in a media television context, because you're exactly right, Gary. Law and order, the show, not the concept, but law and order as the show, has two halves. The first half is the police solving the crime and sending the case to the prosecutor to be handled in court. And so if both halves are not functioning, then the community will not be safe. so it's critical that both the police and the prosecution be functioning at a very high level, and that's that only comes from experience. As far as my campaign, I really cannot give enough. You're hearing people yelling, something must be coming up. Oh my, I don't know what those numbers are, but they're probably pretty good. So, I can't say enough about the people in my office. I've said from the beginning, this isn't about me. This is about us, our crew, the people that work in that office. I just wish that the public could understand how committed and how caring these people are, how determined they are to do the right thing and make sure that justice is served in every case. We're not perfect. We stumble, we fall, but we get back up and we keep moving forward. And the people that work in that office are my heroes. They're the ones that make a difference every single day in the courtroom, and I just can't say enough about them. I love them all. It's like a family there. And the minute I had opposition, like I said, it galvanized the office. And if there's anything that's come out of this, the two things that I would say are, first of all, it took an already tight office and brought us even closer together and gave us a greater sense of purpose. And secondly, it told us, because when you don't have opposition, you really don't know what the public thinks of what you're doing. But now we know. We see it. The numbers are coming in, and the public approves of the work we do. They appreciate the work they do, that we're doing, and they're showing that. They're demonstrating that appreciation at the ballot box. So we're very, very gratified for all of this. It will fill us with a renewed sense of purpose and vigor, and we look forward to continuing to do the good work we've been doing.
Kevin, it's Manning Kimmel again. I noticed, I made some notes from our Straight Talk conversation, and one of the things that you said is that you have monthly meetings with the Sheriff's Department just to make sure that you all are in sync, to make sure that all the pieces you need to prosecute somebody that they have arrested and brought to your attention are in fact in the place that they need to be. You also talked a lot about the fentanyl statute, which you worked very hard on, and that seems to be working already in terms of telling the people that want to play around with fentanyl stay out of your county.
That's right. We need to attack this problem from two different angles, Manning. First of all, and the fentanyl trafficking statute is going to do that, we need to attack the supply side. We need to let dealers know that York County and Union County are closed for business. If you want to come and traffic fentanyl in these communities, you're going to suffer a great penalty. Now, the next step in this is what I hope to address with the legislature next year, is we need to come up with a sentencing scheme that allows judges to force people to embrace rehabilitation by requiring them to participate in drug court and making sure that the judges who preside over those drug courts have the authority to immediately revoke people when they fail a drug test. Right now, probation doesn't have that authority. People who are fentanyl addicts are on probation, they fail drug tests, and it takes 3 or 4 months to get those people in front of a judge. And in the meantime, they're dying. And so we're failing those people. We need to be able to compel them to embrace rehabilitation, and I hope to accomplish that in the General Assembly next year. That's going to be my next big push. Former solicitor Tommy Pope, now Speaker Pro Tem, my good friend, Gary's good friend, former colleague, and I have already talked about this. I've talked with Doug Gilliam over in Union, several other legislators, Heath, Sessions, Brandon Guppy. These are good people who are committed to trying to make this happen, as well as our senators, Michael Johnson and Wes Clymer, who have both committed to making a difference in this area. So look forward to making a difference there next year and trying to attack the demand side, not just the supply side.
Kevin, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring up Solicitor Brackett. This is Matt Hires. Just wanted to tell you, looking at this thing geographically, this whole race between you and Tyler Bratton, if this were the old board game of Risk, I mean, you really had him dominated here. It looks like out of the 100 precincts in York County, he only took 3. So whoever was working your campaign, getting on the ground, it's worth patting them on the back there and yourself, and just congratulations. But that's really telling when you look at all across the county, and there were only 3 here, and they were actually all within the city of Rock Hill, where Tyler was victorious.
Well, I think it's really a reflection of the great work that my people do, and I give them all the credit.
And he's going to give a lot of his credit to his own wife, Susan.
Yes, well, there's definitely a lot of credit that belongs there. She is my fiercest campaigner, no doubt.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on what appears to be a big win.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, y'all. Y'all have a great night yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, so by what Matt Hires just gave you, again, these are unofficial results, but it appears that it is a big win for 16th Circuit Solicitor, the incumbent Kevin Brackett. Again, unofficially, 5,900 votes to 2,103. But, Matt, I think you have something separate. You think you have a much bigger number.
I did, like 5,914 for Kevin Brackett and 2,103. Okay. Yes, but I was raising my hand for sheriff. We got some new numbers.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, in the sheriff's race here in York County, Michael Belk is still holding on to his lead with 2,275 votes. In the second spot is Tony Breeden with 2,040 votes. In third, right now, Beth Tolson with 1,541 votes. In fourth, Chris Blevins with 1,360. And in fifth, Heath Clevenger with 1,015.
And unofficially, I think we have a winner in the York County Council District 2 race. If you guys noticed, I was doing a lot of numbers here. And I want to thank the folks in that district for sending me numbers. I had multiple people sending me numbers there, so thank you so much for this. But it looks like Andy Litton is your winner. 3,443 votes out of 21 precincts. Allison Love was second with 1,327. Jason Amitler with 323. Again, this is York County Council District 2. Andy Litton appears to have won this. Again, unofficial numbers. This is from 21 precincts. 3,443 votes for Andy Litton, 1,327 for the incumbent Allison Love, and Jason Amitler with 323.
How about that?
So there you go.
There you go.
So far, we have 3 unofficial winners, but we're pretty sure these numbers coming in because of the folks that are going precinct to precinct and getting the boxes. Solicitor, 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett, the incumbent, wins that one. State House of Representatives, District 26, that appears to be won by David W. Martin with 2,100 votes over Elizabeth Enns to her 1,700 votes. And York County Council, District 2, it will be Andy Linton taking that seat over Allison Love, 3,443 votes to 1,327. All right, so once again, numbers are starting to creep in. We will give you some more updates. I'm seeing some counties report. 12 counties in the state now reporting on our updates. So we'll give you some of that after this break. We will step aside. You are listening to Election Coverage 2024 on WRHI.
This is Mike Elder. We're the pool care specialists at Imperial Pool and Spa in Lake Wiley and Rock Hill. We're your local BioGuard dealer, ready to assist you with a wealth of pool care knowledge, wide range of proven BioGuard products, and everything needed to establish the best system. Come see us.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather,
call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again, we're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got you back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And good evening. You are listening to Today's Vote, Election 2024, the statewide primaries, and how you voted in York, Lancaster, and Chester counties, mainly in York County. We are following a number of races, 19 Republican candidates we are keeping track of. We already have a couple of unofficial winners. We will give you those right now. So for York County Council District 2, we understand that it will be Andy Litton defeating Allison Love, the incumbent. Andy Litton with 3,443 votes, defeating Allison Love with 1,327 votes. Unofficially, State House of Representatives District 26, David Martin defeats Elizabeth Enns, 2,100 votes to 1,700 votes. Again, that is that Fort Mill seat. The last we had, I'm expecting another update here soon, State Senate District 17. This is the seat, the Republican primary. The winner of this seat, actually the winner of this race, I should say, will face the incumbent, Senator Mike Fanning, in November. Everett Stubbs leads right now, 1,295 votes to McCoy, 483 votes, and Tibby Sente at 311 votes. We also have another unofficial winner, 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett, taking down Tyler Bratton. And we can give this one. We have another unofficial winner, we think. State House of Representatives, District 66. You were getting some numbers on that one, Gary. And again, we want to stress this is unofficial because this one seems to be pretty close.
It is very close. It may be even within the margin, but the numbers we're hearing, Jackie Tarabell has defeated Michelle Branning by just a mere 100-plus votes in that district. Again, unofficial at this time. I think it's interesting to note in this particular district, not only is it an open seat, David O'Neill had the seat and represented that area for 2 years, but this is a brand new seat for York County.
Right.
This was after the census of 2020 we talked about earlier, and the district really is, we call it north of the river of Lake Wiley. If you're from Rock Hill or that area, you call the river Lake Wiley, but of Lake Wiley, and then west of I-77. Before, it was part of District 48, part of District 26, and the growth there was so immense that it became its own district. So it has TKK, the Gold Hill Road area, the Pleasant Hill area, Baxter is in that district. So it is a wide swath of property that's in there, but a heavily growing area. So the difficulty being a representative in an area like that is every 2 years, you almost have a sea change of constituents. So you have to stay on top of your game. In this case, it was an open seat. So both Jackie and Michelle had to make sure they got out and met people, because even if they'd met someone 2 or 3 years ago in that Baxter area, obviously the growth rate is so high, it is a constant evolving process.
Gary, I want to ask you something. I think this is a pretty obvious answer, but it might not be. When you talk about that being mainly a TKK seat, you also have State House of Representatives, that District 26, that's mainly a Fort Mill seat. How important is it for those two folks to be on the same page once they get to the State House in terms of the issues? Because they're about the same when it comes to Fort Mill and TKK, you know, growth being number one. Yeah, growth being number one, roads. How important is it for those two folks to really be on the same page day one?
Well, in 29708, 29715, so obviously they need to work together. I think one of the strengths that we've seen in our delegation, the York County delegation, even though we have grown, the delegation works well together because you compete against other delegations around the state, whether that be Spartanburg or Lexington or Charleston or Beaufort. And so it becomes very important that you unify, and you unify by building consensus. But yes, District 26 and District 66 would have the most in common. They represent the I-77 corridor. One represents the eastern side of I-77, one represents the western side of I-77. They both have water in the district, one the actual Catawba River, and of course the other the Lake Wiley side of that. So they become very important. Working together in a mutual effort to get things done for the district becomes vitally important.
And Gary, I know you know very well with this organization that I'm about to bring up, but it's fascinating to me because outside of the State House, it's one area where everyone truly has to be on the same page, and that's RFATS. And I have attended these meetings for the last almost 2 years now. It's about once a month. And it is fascinating to hear the conversations, the debates, and really the concern of the roads that either need to be fixed, need to be created for all of the growth that is mainly happening in that Fort Mill, even into Indian Land, 521, all those different areas. But that is one area where I think you can really learn to work together. I've noticed that county and city council folks are working together, and representatives and senators, both sides of the fence, all have to come together for the common goal of alleviating the growth and congestion that's coming.
Well, and the demand for roads is much higher than the supply of the money that creates the road. I think one of the great things we've had in York County, and this again is working together, is the infrastructure bank. And so if you start taking I-77 as the conduit that we see that runs through York County, of course, whether that was Exit 90 that's now been approved through the county working with the infrastructure bank, Exit 88, we used to call the baseball exit, that was a pennies project, Exit 85, which is the Kingsley-Baxter exit, which was an infrastructure bank, skipping 83 for now at Sutton Road, but go to 82, which is A, B, and C, which is the Cherry Road corridor along with Celanese Road. That's an infrastructure bank project. And then just go one exit down, Palmetto Parkway. I call it the Pantherless exit. That was done.
We used to call it the road to nowhere.
Well, it's going somewhere now, but
yes.
that too is a new interchange for our area that was not subject to having to be paid for with gas tax, C-Fund tax, or any of the infrastructure bank funding. So York County has done very well in those efforts, but I would ask all of those that are elected tonight, especially new people coming on board, work with your delegation to make things happen for our area.
Absolutely. Because we are no longer the redheaded stepchild of South Carolina, as Betty Jo Ray used to say 40 years ago. This is interesting to have people and friends who are at these campaign functions. I just got a text from one of our supporters. Allison Love, I think, has commented that she's lost the race, in which we reported 34-43 for Andy Litton and 13-27 for herself. And she told her supporters, listen to this now, that she feels liberated. And for the last 6 months of her term, you will see a council member who doesn't have to be politically correct anymore.
Oh.
I'm not so sure why I would call her politically correct.
Well, those council meetings have already had plenty of fireworks. So,
what do you think about that, Gary?
Oof.
Well, I would say a county council meeting, and this isn't just with this council, but for years it has been spirited in the debate. But you also have to realize there's an eastern side of the county and there's a western side of the county, and they don't always share the same goals or ideas because some are faced with rapid growth, others don't want growth at all. And I think the beauty of York County is having that rural and suburban urban mix.
Right.
And it gives us an extra quality to us. The difficulty of that is governing with 7 people with that swath of property, exactly right. and looking at the goals of keeping York County as rural in some areas, pristine, and accepting and working through the growth and job development.
Very true. Very true.
Okay, so we have an update on Senate District 17. Again, that was the seat with, it's held by the incumbent, Senator Mike Fanning, but it's the Republican side, Stubbs, McCoy, and Sente. And so far, the update is that we have 46 boxes reporting so far. Now, what's interesting about this is that we do not have any Fairfield boxes in yet. And of course, that district has a portion of Fairfield. It also has a portion of Chester, Lancaster, and York County. But here's what we have so far. Again, Senate District 17, Stubbs leads the way. Everett Stubbs leads the way, 3,342 votes to McCoy, 1,341 votes, and Tibby Sente third with 824 votes. Again, Stubbs leading the way in that box, in that race. That's 46 boxes, only 44% of the precincts coming in so far.
And keep in mind, a 3-way race like that, you must get 50% plus 1 of the vote to avoid the runoff. So obviously, Everett Stubbs is in good territory right now not to have a runoff going into this general election.
Okay, and I'm looking a little bit closer at the sheriff's race. The last little dump of boxes came in about 16 minutes ago. We're still waiting on some more, but breaking down the geography of who's winning where. It looks like, of course, Michael Belk, he's out to the lead. A lot of his votes are coming from the Fort Mill area, which is no surprise where he's from, and also Clover. So Clover and Fort Mill kind of tag teaming everybody else in the county that way. Out in western York County, that's definitely Chris Blevins' country. That's where he's gotten the majority of his votes, and Beth Tolson is leading in both Terza and York. And for her to be coming in third, just winning 3 out of the 100 precincts here, that is something to be said. So she's won by large margins in those districts. We also have several more yet to come in. Several in Rock Hill 8, Edgewood, looks like North Side as well for that one, Fairgrounds. And up in the Tega Cay area, that's where the Indian Land area, bordering that and Dobie's Bridge, that's where Breeden's doing very well. And also out in Leslie, Catawba, Mount Holly, and Ogden, Breeden has kind of cleaned up those as well. So still a lot of boxes to come in, including Airport and Lakewood in this sheriff's race.
Okay, very good. We will step aside for another commercial timeout, but we are rolling along. A lot of numbers coming in. We'll do our best to keep giving to you as they come in. You are listening to Election 2024 on WRHI.
Selling real estate and personal property. That's what Ligon Realty and Auctions does for families and businesses. This is Randy Ligon. For 25 years, we've helped businesses liquidate real estate and equipment and families dealing with estates. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again. We're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back into Election 2024, the statewide primaries in South Carolina. Tyler Cupp, Gary Simmerl, Manning Kimmel, Matt Hires. We are giving you the updates on how you voted across the Tri-County, mainly here in York County, with the sheriff's race being very high profile. We are still getting numbers rolling in on that one. We do have a couple of unofficial winners. But Manning, would you like some breaking news that's not election related?
Oh my goodness, what could it be? A sports story?
We have more bear sightings.
Oh God.
The story that just won't go away.
Oh, it just keeps on giving.
A bear sighting on Celanese near Ebenezer. So
oh my.
There you
really?
go. Well,
populated
at first, I believe it was TK, yeah. And then Lake Wiley Drive in Rock Hill, and then Charlotte said they had one.
Must be the mother and her cubs. They're all spread out trying to find each other.
So there you go.
Well, the Celanese box is not in yet, so maybe it's the bear prohibiting it. I don't know.
Maybe the bear's transporting it. Maybe
he's...
Well, we ought to run down once again exactly what we have. It appears very clearly that Kevin Brackett is going to be returned to the solicitor's office. He has a commanding lead, 4-1, the last time we looked at the numbers. It appears that Everett Stubbs is going to be, he may even avoid a runoff. He has a commanding lead. We're still waiting for Fairfield County boxes to come in. But he appears that he is going to win that race in Senate District number 17. These are the Republican primaries, by the way. David Martin has won the race against Elizabeth Enns over in District 26, 2,100 to 1,700 votes. Down in the House District number 66, which of course is the TKK district, Jackie Terabile is going to be declared, I think, by a slight margin, the winner over Michelle Branning, but we still don't have those final numbers yet. And no question about this one, County Council District number 2, the seat held by Allison Love. Her term is going to end, and she was soundly defeated this evening, 34-43 to 13-27. Jason Amitler, 323 votes. So that's where we are right now. Waiting to get more numbers on the York County Sheriff's race. We're waiting for that one to come in. And, of course, House District number 43, which is the incumbent Randy Ligon running against Elias Irizarry.
All right, and we did have a little ballot dump here during the break for the sheriff's race, and the contenders still remain the same, although the margins have closed. Looks like Michael Belk is still in the lead by about 150 votes. Ooh. He's got 2,653 over Tony Breeden, who has 2,497. In third, still Beth Tolson with 1919. In the fourth spot again is Chris Blevins with 1,712 votes, and then Heath Clevenger bringing up fifth with 1,342 votes.
We can also give you an update, again, unofficial numbers. Well, actually, these are official, what I'm looking at right here. We gave you that Kevin Brackett has won the race over Tyler Bratton, but the numbers are coming in officially. 22% of the state reporting so far. Kevin Brackett with 7,177 votes. Tyler Bratton, 2,683 votes. But as we said, Brackett will stay your 16th Circuit Solicitor.
And if we want to go to the U.S. House of Representatives across the state of South Carolina, down in District 1 in the Charleston area, it looks like Nancy Mace will avoid a runoff. She is coming in with 57% of the vote to Catherine Templeton's 28.65%. And she will be squaring off more than likely against Michael B. Moore in the election on November 5th. Over in U.S. House of Representatives 2 in the Midlands, Joe Wilson, the congressman there, he actually had he's a 12-term congressman, actually had a primary opponent, Hamp Redmond. Joe Wilson will win handily there tonight, and he will face off against David Robinson, again, not the basketball player, there in the November 5th election. One of the biggest, largest contested U.S. House Representatives race is District 3. That's where Jeff Duncan's retiring out of that seat. That is very neck and neck there. It looks like the leaders in the Republican primary are Sherry Biggs and Mark Burris, both at 30%. So they look like they're headed toward a runoff, and they're going to be facing Byron Best in the November election. And over in U.S. House of Representatives District 4, William Timmons, he has come back to take the lead. He's the 3-term incumbent congressman there in that district, and it looks like he has come back to take a 53-46 lead. And down in District 6, two guys fighting to take on Jim Clyburn. Looks like Duke Buckner will be the guy in District 7.
Duke Buckner, that's a great name. Great offensive lineman name.
Duke Buckner, or a cowboy, down in District 6. Over in District 7, the Beach Boys, they're fighting for the chance to square off against Russell Fry. It looks like Mal Hyman will take that one. Mal's leading right now, 52% to 47 over Darrell Scott.
Okay. Thank you very much, Matt Heyer. So, well, Gary, I'll just ask your opinion here with what we've gotten in so far. Any surprises, thoughts so far on what we've seen?
Not knowing the full lay of the land, I think if you look at the sheriff's race, it's interesting, as Matt told us, geography, because we talked about earlier, all 5 of these candidates are eminently qualified to be sheriff. They've run clean campaigns, so there's no dirt being distributed around on these candidates. The interesting part of this is geography. The Bryants are from the Filbert area over in York. And so, that just shows you the reputation that these folks have in the communities they grew up in is stellar. And so it really is, it's interesting. I think the surprise for me, not that it is a surprise, but just seeing the geography of where these candidates get the base of their support. And it speaks to whoever should be victorious in this, that we're getting a person that is good for York County. So I think that's both a surprise and a pleasant outcome of what we'll see coming forward.
So this is pure speculation. Do you think this whole process of filing has had any impact on the Tolson campaign? The fact that people, have that conspiracy theory in the back of their head?
Well, I always say it's like dropping a rock in a pond. How widespread are the ripples? How big is the rock? And so to a degree, I think if you keep up with what is going on in politics, you would know more about the process than the election debates themselves and the different platforms that the candidates have. So I would say potentially, but I would not think it would be a deciding factor.
Okay. All right.
All right, it is 8:54 as we are nearing closer to getting some more numbers in election 2024, the statewide primaries. We're giving you the numbers as they come in. We're kind of at a stagnant moment here as we've gotten a lot fast and furious, and then they just kind of stopped. But we are expecting more here in just a couple of minutes. We are expecting a major dump in terms of numbers here really very soon from the York County Voter Registration Office. They told us they would be coming in shortly after 9 o'clock. So we expect to see a lot from there. And there's some races where we haven't really gotten a whole lot of numbers from. State House of Representatives, District 43, that is incumbent Randy Ligon leading Elias Izarari. Trying to see what the latest we had on that was. Ligon leading 370 votes to 137, but I did see some other boxes where Randy was leading big in that race. We're still waiting for some more numbers to come in on York County Sheriff. Also, still waiting for some more concrete numbers, although we definitely trust our source, but some more concrete numbers in that State House of Representatives District 66 race. It does appear that unofficially Jackie Terabile has won that race, but we're hoping to see some more numbers to kind of separate those two. We will step aside for another commercial break. When we come back, we'll give you some more numbers and take you through election 2024 on WRHI.
For 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
This is Benny Etter of AirTech. Now is the time to clean and service your heating and air unit. For $99, we'll make sure it's running safely and efficiently all year long.
No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
327-7100.
Helping businesses sell real estate and equipment, and families sell mom and dad's belongings, even the house itself. That's what we do at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We help businesses and families get their stuff sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
If your pool could talk, what would it say? Well, it would tell you to visit Imperial Pool and ImperialPool.com, your authorized BioGuard dealer for a personal water analysis. Let your BioGuard dealer set you up with a customized pool care program. It'll be the easiest, most effective way to care for your pool. Check us out at ImperialPool.com or visit Imperial on Anderson Road, Rock Hill, and start listening to your pool. If you do, it'll tell you that it wants BioGuard.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome into today's vote, election 2024. And we are wrapping up hour number 2 of our election coverage, and we are going to try to stay on as long as we can to give you the numbers of how you voted in York County, also following some races in Lancaster and Chester County as well. Gary had a question. We have some incumbents that are going to take victories tonight, but also some new faces. And certainly some new faces in the State House of Representatives. District 26, unofficially, David Martin has defeated Elizabeth Enns. Also unofficially, Jackie Terabile has defeated Michelle Branning. And unofficially, County Council District 2 on York County Council, Andy Litton will have defeated Allison Love. So saying all that, and of course the York County Sheriff will be a new face, what is your advice to some of these folks getting into the State House? Some of your advice when you're starting county council, day one, hit the ground running on the job. What's your advice for those folks?
Well, there's a learning curve to what we. Anytime you're elected, you campaign on a set of what you are attempting to offer back for your community. That's the first thing that you do. Then the rubber meets the road, and you must follow through on the campaign promises. So those campaign promises become important, but how do you effectuate change? How do you accomplish the goal that you talked about in these months leading up to the campaign? And so that really leads to understanding that one person is not a majority, that in the House of Representatives, it takes 63 people to make that happen. And so with 63 people, you're 62 away from getting this done. I encourage people, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I would listen a lot more than I talk.
I like that advice.
And not everyone takes it, but I would listen and learn. And I think you can, some people learn by reading. I learn by observing and looking at the rules, figuring out how to get your calls further down the road, realizing that it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not urban, it's not rural, it's consensus driven. Make friends, build consensus, and you will be successful.
Well, who do we have on the line? Do we know? Who do we got? Hello, you're on the air.
Everything I did, I had you guys.
Okay, not sure who that is. We got to have better communication of who we know who's calling, but that's okay.
Okay. At least we know somebody was calling.
Yeah,
that's the good
somebody. They heard us. But we were talking about advice for some of these folks that are coming in day one on the job there, and I think that's great advice to listen. If you remember, when that long ago, you had Brandon Guffey and Heath Sessions go in together, and they kind of tag teamed, if you will, and kind of learned together, and almost kind of created a bit of a team when it comes to sticking with one another, giving each other advice, and they've become quite the tandem in representing York County.
Well, and they've done a great job too in bringing the message back to the community in their podcast. I think that has become important.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that they don't agree on every issue, yet they show how they can disagree agreeably and work toward a solution for the betterment of our community. I think they are a remarkable pair in politics today that should be emulated around the state.
All right, let's step aside for a timeout. When we come back, more numbers to see how you voted in York County election 2024 on WRHI.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass Rock Hill, and in Lake Wiley.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather,
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Problem solving. That's our job at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We work with families and businesses needing to sell real estate and personal property, and our turnkey system ensures that what they want sold gets sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions, online at theligoncompany.com.
Fox News, I'm Deborah Valentine. A jury has found first son Hunter Biden guilty on all 3 counts in his federal gun trial.
Fox's David Spunt reports from the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware.
Judge WRHI said sentencing will happen roughly in about 4 months, probably somewhere in the October timeframe. She didn't give a date. He could get up to 25 years behind bars. It's unlikely because he doesn't have any prior offenses like this.
President Biden traveled to Wilmington following the verdict. The president issued a statement saying he accepts the jury's decision. The U.S. Senate will vote on a bill called the Right to IVF Act later this week. Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York.
The Right to IVF Act establishes a nationwide right to IVF.
The bill would ensure IVF protections all across the country. Schumer also said he hopes his colleagues will support that IVF bill. America's listening to Fox News.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome into today's vote, hour number 3, as we give you the rundown and the results. And I guess this is the latest we have on State Senate District 17. This just popped up on my phone. I think Manning gave this during the commercial break, so I think this is what he had as well. So let's go ahead and give this. Let's see here. Okay, so there's only 6 boxes remaining that we don't have in State Senate District 17. Again, this is the race. The winner of this race will face Democratic incumbent Senator Mike Fanning. So this is what we have so far. Well, hang on, not able to give that. It doesn't have the totals here. I do know that Stubbs was leading 3,342 to McCoy, 1,341, and Sente with 824. Okay, so we got Jackie. Okay, so stand by here. I'm going to have to add these totals up here because it does not have the totals at the bottom. So I'll try to get that. But it looks like Stubbs is in a controlling lead at the moment for State Senate District 17. All right, so we're going to play you a very short interview with Jackie Terabile. Matt Hires got that. And this was just moments ago. We believe, unofficially, Jackie Terabile has taken the race over Michelle Branning, State House of Representatives, District 66. So you guys have that up? Go ahead.
Just wanted to reach out to you. We have you some unofficial results as winning House seat 66. What are you hearing?
The same thing. We're hearing the same thing. The Tiga K-Sun also published it that I was the winner.
Okay, and are you ready to declare that tonight?
I'm waiting to see if my opponent calls me.
Okay, so still in a waiting pattern. I can appreciate and respect that. But we will try you back a little bit later tonight and see when things get a little ironed out. But right now, just kind of a preliminary congratulations, Jackie.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, call me back later. That'd be great.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
All righty. Bye-bye.
And we're back, election 2024, as Terabile doesn't quite know yet. I thought she had maybe a better idea, but that's okay. But you've got some numbers on the race with Randy Ligon, Manning.
Yes, down there in council district number of State House district number 43. Randy Ligon says that he has 1,461 votes from Chester County to 394 for Elias Irizarry. He has no numbers yet from York County.
Okay.
So Chester County is a big part of the district, and he also has some down in Fairfield County. So wait for those.
Okay, so we should be getting a call here soon from Everett Stubbs. It appears that he has won the race. Senate District 17 in the Republican primary over McCoy and Sente. Okay, he's going to call us in about 5 minutes. Just got that text. So unofficially, Stubbs has taken the race over McCoy and Sente, State Senate District 17, and we will be hearing from Stubbs very soon. So
we'll have to tell him we charge by the hour.
Let's just hope it's not like waiting on Christmas. So let's give you what we got so far.
Yes.
We are still waiting for a number of York County boxes to come in. And we expected that. I know we've said this a couple of times, but we're getting new listeners every 15 minutes or so. We expected that the York County numbers may not come in until closer to 9:30, but thanks to our listeners, thanks to our community folks that have sent us numbers throughout the evening, we have been able to piece together a lot of the winners so far and some numbers that are coming in so far.
And we would encourage you to continue to do that because that's very helpful.
Yeah, extremely.
Because the state system really does.
All right. So we do have an update on the sheriff's race. This just came in. This just came in. York County race for sheriff. The numbers have been the same for about an hour, but this just coming in. It is, let's see, very tight. Michael Belk leads the way still with 3,268 votes. Second is Tony Breeden with 3,076 votes. Second appears to be Beth Tolson. Third. Thank you, Manning. Third appears to be Beth Tolson at 2,471. Fourth, Chris Blevins, 2,221. And Heath Clevenger, fifth, 1,818. So once again, the race for York County Sheriff, Michael Belk leading the way with 3,268 votes, only 25% of the vote.
Yeah, and we're going to go over east across the Catawba this time, and the race between Vic Dabney and Brandon Newton for South Carolina House of Representatives 45. That has been called. Brandon Newton with 77% of the vote, Vic Dabney with 23%.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, so some of the races that have already unofficially been called, some officially. 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett defeats Tyler Bratton tonight, so Brackett will stay in that seat. Also, unofficially, Everett Stubbs. We're going to be hearing from him any minute. He takes the Republican primary over Trip McCoy and Tibby Sente. We are waiting for numbers there. Let's see. State House of Representatives District 26 has been decided. That is the Fort Mill seat. David Martin with 2,100 votes over Elizabeth Enns, 1,700 votes. State House of Representatives District 43, it appears Randy Ligon had a sizable lead there over Elias Irizarry. State House of Representatives District 26, last we saw, Jackie Tarabile was about ahead of Michelle Branning over 150 votes or so. So that one's very tight. And York County Council District 2, we have a winner. Andy Litton has defeated Allison Love. She has already conceded on social media. Andy Litton gets 3,443 votes to Allison Love's 1,327. And I do want to say that is 20 of the 21 precincts that was reported and given to me. So Andy Litton takes County Council District 2 there. Okay. So that's what we've got. We are waiting for Everett Stubbs to call us. Let's go ahead and take a break, reset, and hopefully we'll have Everett Stubbs on the other line. You are listening to How You Voted, Election 2024 on WRHI.
For 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
Selling real estate and personal property. That's what Ligon Realty and Auctions does for families and businesses. This is Randy Ligon. For 25 years, we've helped businesses liquidate real estate and equipment and families dealing with estates. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
Are you tired of paying high energy bills trying to keep your home cool? This is Benny Etter.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
We have the right remedy. Replace your old worn-out heating and air system and start saving electricity and money immediately. Plus, your new unit will help clear your home of mildew, pollen, and dust that causes allergy discomfort.
No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
Call 327-7100.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass, Rock Hill, and in Lake Wiley.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back into our continuing coverage of Election 2024, the statewide primaries. Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, Gary Simmerl, Matt Hires on the microphone, and it has been a pleasure to bring you these numbers, and thank you guys so much. A lot of text messages, a lot of updates, social media as well, for sending us the updates. I'm going to give you some updated numbers here. We have a lot, actually, that has just come in the last 2 minutes, right as we went into break. So this is according to our friends at the Chester News. My good friend Travis Jenkins down there does a fantastic job in the Republican primary for Senate District 17. Everett Stubbs, 1,745 votes to Trip McCoy, 373, and Tibby Sente, 242. The winner of that Republican primary will face Senator Mike Fanning in November, and it looks like Stubbs will take that one. House District 43, Randy Ligon, 1,461 votes over Elias Irizarry, 394 votes. And
that's in Chester.
That is in Chester. Right. Yes, that is in Chester. So we obviously have some Rock Hill numbers where Stubbs was up big in the Rock Hill boxes, the York County boxes as well. All right, let's update you on the York County Sheriff. Some numbers just now coming in. 38% of the precincts reporting for that race. Michael Belk leading 3,475 votes. That's 25% of the vote, 3,475. Second, it is Tony Breeden, 3,251 to Beth Tolson, 2,626 votes. And let's see, fourth in that race would be Chris Blevins, 2,427. And fifth is Heath Clevenger, 1,938. So Michael Belk and Tony Breeden neck and neck. Belk has led all throughout from the updates that we have gotten. But it has been very, very close. I mean, they're separated by a couple hundred. So a lot more to come in there. All right, so we have somebody on the line. I think this is Everett Stubbs. Everett, is that you?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey, Everett. Well, should we be congratulating you? Has it been made official?
Well, no, I don't think it's been made official. I mean, we've got numbers pouring in from all over the place, and family and friends are here at the house, and everyone's spirits are high. But I guess I'm the pessimist in the room. I'm like, no, not until everything's official. All numbers are in, but things are looking very, very, very good for us.
Well, what is your updated numbers? Do you have anything updated?
Well, so the last numbers I had were somewhere around 60.5% with a little over 3,300 votes in for me.
Okay.
And we said this would be a race to 2,500 or 3,000. So if if those projections are right, we should be in good shape. There's just I think York County early voting numbers and a couple other things are trickling in, but we should be in good shape.
Talking with Everett Stubbs, who right now is up big, State Senate District 17. And, Everett, let's talk about this district. Very, very unique district where you're spanning a lot of counties, a lot of ground. I met you at an event in Chester. It was like a job fair. The Chester County Parks and Rec was unveiling some new things, and it was a great event. But you got to go to a lot of those in a lot of different counties to kind of shake hands and kiss babies and all that. So kind of give me the lay of the land and the outline of this district from your perspective.
Well, this district fits perfectly with me, and the reason I say that, this is a blue-collar district, whether it's hard-working jobs, farmers, teachers, cops. I mean, this is a blue-collar district, and that's kind of the spirit that embodies who I am as a person. My dad was a cop. My mom just retired from the hospital after 55 years over in Greenville. And, just good people that still go to church on Sunday, still want to raise their kids right. And I couldn't be more proud to potentially be the Republican nominee for this Senate seat.
So, Everett Stubbs, this is Manning Kimmel. I'm curious, have you thought ahead, now that it appears that you're going to win this race, as to how you're going to differentiate yourself from Mike Fanning? He's a very colorful, very, very
charismatic guy.
Flamboyant candidate.
Yes, sir. So, Senator Fanning, first of all, is a good person. This race for me is not about, personal differences or things of that nature. It's really more about what the people are looking for in a state senator. And I think that kind of my qualities align with a lot of the district. And, there's been some redistricting and a little bit of lines changing. But at the end of the day, what I think that this all boils down to is people want someone that's going to go to Columbia, be effective for them, and be their sounding board or their voice to the folks in Columbia for things like infrastructure funding, for things like school funding, other things that I just feel like for whatever reason we just have not been getting our fair share of that pie. So that's going to be the message that we're going to send off into the next however many months if this is a confirmed nomination. So.
Talking with Everett Stubbs, who at the moment has 60% of the vote, 3,300 votes, leading Trip McCoy and Tibby Sente.
And Everett, this is Gary Semrell. Welcome to the show, and it's great to be on this side, and I'm glad you're on that side running for office. But, one of the things, and you mentioned this about the specifics of the district, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. And I was thinking about your candidacy in you have a statewide presence in things you have done. You've got a local flair. You've got family from the area, obviously deep rooted here. And so we talk about campaigning, but knowing who you're campaigning to prior to campaigning becomes important. And I think you had that innate ability going in. And so this is a reflection of you being really part of the district, and then you get the opportunity to represent the district. And so tell us a little bit, in your campaigning. I think you have been very low key, but very effective in how you have gone about your campaign. What have you learned on the campaign trail that maybe you didn't think you would know going in? What surprised you?
So, and I'm a rookie, right? I mean, this is my first time ever running for any political office. And that's refreshing to some people too. But what I learned is that the face-to-face, the door-to-door, the what I call intimate touches with the local citizens is what's by and far most important. And then, the relationship that I've been able to build with folks across the district over the last, decade plus. And there, you touched on something earlier, Gary. I could not have done this without my family, and that's in particular my wife's family. I didn't do this. We did this. And, they've all bought in, and we've all been on the same page. And we've, kept our heads down, kept working. And, the church family, I mean, the list goes on of the supporters that we've had. And if this is a true victory and we end up getting the nomination, I shouldn't, this should be because of them, not because of anything I've done in particular.
Again, we are talking with Everett Stubbs, Senate District 17 in that Republican primary, the winner of that race, which it appears to be Everett, who's on the line with us. 3,300 votes at the moment, 60% of the vote in a district that spans York, Fairfield, Chester counties. The winner of this primary would go on to face Democratic Senator Mike Fanning in November. And Everett, I'm curious, when it comes to this race, you kind of have to plan things out. I know you plan to win the first one before you win the second one. You don't want to put the cart before the horse, as my old boss used to say. But have you kind of thought about kind of a plan throughout the summer and heading into the fall?
Yes, sir. So, like any good football coach, I'm going to tell you, we're going to probably take a day or two off and enjoy this victory if it turns out to be such. And, and then we're going to get right back to work. But, listen, this stuff overlaps with who I am as a person. I've been so involved, especially in Chester County and Southeast York County, in so many nonprofits, so many different organizations, and, so I'm going to keep being me, and that's part of, fortunately what this campaign is. My wife helps. I mean, we volunteers for Come See Me. I'm a team leader, all kinds of stuff in Chester County, from the Sheriff's Foundation to, we're at every chamber event. And that's just naturally who we are as people, because we intimately care about this community, and that's ultimately why I decided to run for this position. So some of that stuff is going to be pretty natural for us still.
Well, Everett Stubbs, thank you for the time. And listen, keep us updated. We're hoping to get text messages and emails on the latest on all these races. So I know you're there with our good friend Trent Ferris, who's actually going to be on this microphone come Friday on Palm in the Morning. So thank you, thank you guys for sending the updates, and best of luck to you tonight.
Well, thank y'all. And hey, listen, I appreciate what y'all do. I know a bunch of people that are tuned in, and y'all are providing a great service to our community as well, keeping us informed. So thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. That is Everett Stubbs, at the moment, up big with 3,300 votes, 60% of the vote in State Senate District 17. We will step aside, take a commercial time out. When we come back, update more numbers in how you voted election 2024.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again, we're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
This is Mike Elder. We're the pool care specialists at Imperial Pool and Spa in Lake Wiley and Rock Hill. We're your local BioGuard dealer, ready to assist you with a wealth of pool care knowledge, wide range of proven BioGuard products, and everything needed to establish the best system. Come see us.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back into today's vote, election 2024, the statewide primaries for South Carolina. Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, Gary Simrell, Matt Hires, as we're bringing you the results. And we can give you a slight update on York County Sheriff. A couple more precincts coming in, and these are official numbers so far. Leading the way, still Michael Belk, 3,712 to Tony Breeden, 3,488. Michael Belk with 25% of the vote, Tony Breeden with just under 24%. Third, it appears to be Beth Bryant Tolson, 2,779 votes. Then it would be fourth, Chris Blevins, 2,625. And fifth, Heath Clevenger at 2,117. So that is York County Sheriff Michael Belk leading the way, 3,712. Second, Tony Breeden, 3,488. Go ahead, Matt.
We were talking to Everett Stubbs before the break, and I was kind of staying down around Chester County, and Chester is actually going to get – there is a Democratic primary tonight in Chester County, and they are going to get a new clerk of court down there. It looks like A. Tina Thompson Cook has unseated Sue Carpenter as the clerk of court down in Chester by only 15 votes. And that's with 100% of the precincts reporting. So
Think there'll be a recount?
A nail biter there, certainly.
Whenever they say your vote matters locally, well, there you go. That right there.
That's it. That's
Always
it.
remember the mayor of Clover, won by 1 vote. Woo. Yeah.
All right, so I want to bring up something that we were talking about off air that I think was a great conversation, and I think, kind of rivals some of the candidates and conversations that we've had over the course of the night, and that is endorsements by current seat holders, former seat holders. One thing we didn't mention in that State House Representatives District 26 seat, unofficially won by David Martin over Elizabeth Enns, he was endorsed by the person who formerly held that seat for so many years in Ray Felder. And the questions we were asking you, Gary Simmerl, is, whether it be someone who formerly held the seat or someone that's currently still holding a seat, do those endorsements matter?
And the short answer is yes and no. But proximity is very important. And so, like for Ray Felder, who represented Fort Mill in that seat very ably in her time, you would listen to what she said, because some are sad that she chose not to run. And it says, Ray, you're not going to run. Who's going to take your place? And she says, I have a great person, David Martin, and she endorsed him. I think that carries a good bit of weight. On the converse of that, if in fact you have someone who is not local to the district, but maybe represents the district in a more macro sense, that weight would not carry typically as much because the locality is not there. It has to be very, very familiar. And so I think it's a double-edged sword in reality, because if people really like you and they say, I'm endorsing this person, they say, gosh, I really trust what he or she says. In other cases, they would say, well, if this person is for X, I'm going to be for Y. And so you take a chance a little bit with that, obviously. Typically, though, and I talked about this earlier, it's like having a roofer. All this hail damage we've had, and you've got your favorite roofer. Just because Manning has his favorite roofer, I may appreciate that, but I'm sticking with my roofer. So it doesn't always convey necessarily, but I do think in many instances, and Matt and I talked about this, it will shift a vote. I just don't know to the degree it does that would make a huge difference, except for the fact if you take a local race where the current seat holder says, I approve of this person as my replacement.
So conversely, for somebody who is in office, who is endorsing 1, 2, or 3 different candidates, and none of them win, does that hurt that person making the endorsement who's still in office?
Well, use the word hurt. I would say it splinters your support or your ability. Again, what do we talk about politics? Politics is the ability to bring people together, to build consensus on an idea. And so if you endorsed a slate of candidates, and by and large those candidates lost at the ballot box, the person you did not endorse becomes the office holder. There's a little bit of a rub there between you working with them on issues. You both represent the same area. So you take your chances with endorsements in that regard.
Sure. Okay.
All right, so let's give you an update on some of the races that we are getting results on. And again, this is kind of going over what we've already had over the last couple hours. But again, we're getting new listeners. My phone is blowing up. Hey, you guys sound great. Thank you so much. But unofficially, we have a couple of winners. 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett, the incumbent, has defeated Tyler Bratton. Also, State House Representatives District 26, we were just talking about that race. David Martin has defeated Elizabeth Enns, 2,100 votes to 1,700 votes. State House Representatives District 43, last we checked, Randy Ligon, the incumbent, had a sizable lead on Elias Irizarry. State House of Representatives District 66, Jackie Terabile, last we saw, she had a lead of about 152 votes, and that was all the boxes in, by the way. That was 150 votes. That was the discrepancy there in that one. York County Council District 2, Andy Litton is your winner. He defeats incumbent Allison Love. Andy Litton had 3,443 votes to Allison Love's 1,327. Another race that appears to have been called and over, Brandon Newton defeats Vic Dabney. 77% of the vote going to Newton, just 22% for Dabney. So those are the races that we have so far. Also wanted to update you on this one. Senate District 77. The last number we got was from the man himself, Everett Stubbs, leading the way. He just joined us on the program, leading with 60% of the vote, over 3,300 votes across the 3 counties that district represents. That is the Republican primary. The winner of that primary will face Democratic Senator Mike Fanning in November. And we have someone on the line. Who do we have? Hello. Hello, you're on WRHI.
They just hung up.
Okay, they just hung up. Okay.
I want to remind people that, when you talked about that County Council District number 2 race, the comment that was made by Allison Love, the incumbent who lost tonight, she told her supporters that she feels liberated. For the last 6 months of her term, you will see a council member who does not have to be politically correct anymore, which makes me wonder, what are these council meetings going to turn into? Oof. Because they've been rather raucous.
Yeah, and they've been long 5 and 6 hours.
Right.
So, yep. Oh, boy. There was an update on the sheriff's race. Let me see if another one has come in so I can update those. Matt, is that what you were looking at? Yeah, go ahead and give that.
We got one. Michael Belk still retaining his lead with 3,857 votes. Tony Breeden has closed the gap a little bit with 3,606 votes. Beth Tolson still in third with 2,905 votes. In fourth, Chris Blevins, 2,777. And Heath Clevenger with 2,208. So very slim margin there. Michael Belk with 25.12% of the vote. Tony Breeden with 23.49. So very, very close.
Yeah, and this one more than likely will head to a runoff. Obviously, the winner of this one has to have 50% plus one, and this one is very, very tight. And when it gets to a runoff, it gets really interesting there.
We'll talk about the science of that, I think, after the next break. I'll get into that. And this one, again, it is headed for a runoff. That's going to be, for all our listeners, June 25th, 2 weeks from today. And as far as South Carolina law goes, even if you did not participate in this race, if you didn't go vote today, you can still go vote in that runoff.
That's right.
The only thing that prohibits you is if you voted in a Democratic primary, which there were none. Mm-hmm. So it's wide open for the county. It's going to be mano a mano, 2 men for themselves, it looks like. Unless Beth, unless Beth Tolson can mount a comeback here in some of these ballot boxes that aren't reporting yet. So it looks like it's coming down to Michael Belk and Tony Breeden right now, but still only 46% of the vote has been officially counted. So that one's a long way from over.
Yeah, long way from over, but we're going to make some calls. We're going to try to get some more results on that one because as of right now, only about 15,000 total votes have been accounted for of the precincts that have come in so far for the sheriff's race. So we will step aside, take another time out, and give you the best results that we can as they come in. You are listening to Election 2024, the statewide primary on WRHI.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass Rock Hill and in Lake Wiley.
Problem solving. That's our job at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We work with families and businesses needing to sell real estate and personal property, and our turnkey system ensures that what they want sold gets sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions, online at theligoncompany.com.
This is Benny Etter.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
If your heating and air conditioning system is over 10 years old, why not invest in a new modern unit and immediately save up to 40% on your energy costs?
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
Are you looking to elevate your hydration game with Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant? Whether you're a professional athlete, fitness enthusiast, or just someone who's always on the go, Smart Water Alkaline has got you covered. With a pH balance of 9.5 plus, added antioxidant, and electrolytes for taste, we'll focus on keeping you hydrated so you can focus on raising the bar. Elevate how you hydrate with Smart Water Alkaline.
Distributed by Rock Hill Coca-Cola Bottling Company.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back to today's vote. How you voted in the Republican primaries here in the state of South Carolina, really in the primaries, I should say. There were some Democratic primaries across the state. Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, and Gary Simmerl, along with Matt Hires, who's trying to get us some updates.
So we look at this sheriff's race, which is very interesting. And as you pointed out, it's neck and neck between Michael Belk with 3,712 and Tony Breeden with 3,488. Those are both Rock Hill police officers. One's current, one's retired. But, I mean, it's interesting that the two Rock Hill police officers are the ones that are at the top of the list right now. Beth Tolson is not far behind. She is a ways behind at 27.99. I don't know what does this say anything, Gary, about how people perceive law enforcement?
Well, I think there's a respect for law enforcement, but it's interesting too, and to your point, Manning, it is. So you have really Rock Hill PD versus York County Sheriff's Office in the matter of speaking with the race where they came from. Obviously, they have gotten along in this campaign, but it's deeper than that. Really, the race, I don't think, hinged on the agency that you represented or worked for. It's geography of where your base is. And we saw that, with the Fort Mill area versus the Rock Hill area versus the western part of the county seemed to be predominant. I think coincidentally, it happened to be Breeden and Belk that just so happened to be of the five. They were the two RHPD, Rock Hill Police Department, and the others were York County Sheriff's Department. But I do think when all of this is unpacked, that would be interesting to explore, but also recognizing that Rock Hill is the largest community within the county.
Did you know, I found this out from one of the officers for the Sheriff's Department, that the normal procedure is that when a new sheriff comes in, every one of the officers basically, say, resigns and has to be rehired.
Oh.
And I didn't realize that goes on. But
well, that's why they say there's a new sheriff in town.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Gary, I did have a question about this. This is kind of twofold. When it comes to these primaries as opposed to the general election, would you say that in the primaries the voters would be not more educated but know a little bit more of what's going on as opposed to the general? Because, primaries a lot of times aren't as heavily attended or participated in than the general election.
So I think when you use the word educated, I think paying attention to what's going on in the community is important. But typically, as a candidate, what is most important? Turning out the vote. I mean, you can advertise all day long. If you can't produce, or the advertising can't produce a result, and the result is a person voting for you, that is paramount. So with that, in a presidential election, there is a natural inclination, and this is general, of course, but there's a natural inclination of people to go to the polls. In a gubernatorial year, an off-presidential election, not as much. And these numbers, meet themselves out every time. In a primary, typically a larger race, a congressional race, a gubernatorial race, something that is controversial. In this case, we had a sheriff's race with an open seat and 5 candidates. That in and of itself should propel people to go to the vote, go to the ballot box to vote for their candidate of choice. And so I think in what you see in York County, that was happening. But the more you drill down the ballot box, if only that ballot is what you're voting on, you typically have a more involved citizen that is going out because they have to purposely take the time versus knowing this is the first Tuesday in November after the first Monday,
right,
and everybody talks about going to the polls.
And we kind of touched on it briefly, but would you agree that a sheriff race in any county would be one of the more high-profile races that gets that participation?
Chief law enforcement officer in the county absolutely is.
But when you add up all these numbers, the latest numbers you have, it's a little less than 15,000 votes. 15,000 votes out of just under 200,000 people registered in the county. That's like an 8% turnout. That's not what I would have expected in this one.
And we know that of those 15,000, about 5,700 was early voting. Yeah.
Which tells you the importance. We talked about that piece of legislation earlier that's now law, but that shows you the importance of early voting and how people take advantage of that. You in the olden times, you could do absentee, and you can still do absentee if you're not going to be here. But now you have the opportunity to say, you know what, I just don't want to wait till Tuesday. But it also increases the pressure on candidates because you have to get your message out earlier. Because some people are going to vote 2 weeks prior to the election. So we talk about these election eve surprises that used to be the way of doing it a long time ago. And now the election eve surprise, you have to scoop someone else because people have already voted. So, you came out with something about Manning. I voted for him 3 weeks ago. So you have to be able to pivot in those moments.
Kind of curious about this too, even though it seems kind of obvious, but maybe not. When you have, let's take for example, Senator Mike Fanning, who is waiting to see who's going to win here. What is his night like tonight? What do you think he's, someone who's waiting for the results that's going to face someone in November? What's kind of their night, their campaign like in this part of the year?
Well, the good news for Mike Fanning is, based on the unofficial tallies that we've seen, he knows who his opponent is. So instead of having to wait till June 25th for a runoff, he knows today. So he gets a 2-week head start on what his campaign is going to look like going into 2024 general election.
And he'll be a fierce campaigner. He goes to every place. He goes to every church. He goes to every fish fry. He's out there all over the place.
And this is no knock on any candidate. This is meant in all due respect. But Mike Fanning is fantastic on social media. Wherever he goes, Manning, he takes those pictures.
He does a straight talk.
Yeah. And he does a very long, thorough post about what he saw, where he was, and what he did. And props to him because that's kind of part of your campaign, right? That's part of it.
Well, in his case, you're known for what you put in your mouth or what you eat. So
he's got a lot of personality.
He really does.
I'll never forget, there was a meeting down there, the I-77 Alliance, their annual meeting. They had 200 or 300 people down there, and they're introducing the dignitaries. And, Mike Fanning his stature is not the tallest guy in the world. So when they called out his name, Representative Fanning, he jumped up on a chair and started waving, I'm over here, I'm over here. Funny. It was funny.
All right, so I think we might have an update. I had Matt Hires make some calls over there to see what we got going on so far. Do we have any luck there, Matt?
I certainly did. Spoke with Tony Breeden, got a little bit of audio. We can get to that after the next break.
Okay, good.
Certainly, and we talked. I just stepped in the middle of this conversation, but I think we were going to try
to talk about elections. It's all good.
Oh, okay. That's what we're doing tonight. I thought it was football already. But no, we're looking at definitely a runoff here in this sheriff race, and I don't know if we talked about the science behind that, but really it's a toss-up. It doesn't matter. Yes, Michael Belk will get the most votes tonight, it looks like, out of anybody. Now, there's still a lot that could happen. But as of right now, if it were to stop, it'd be Michael Belk. But he's got 3,857 votes as it stands right now. Tony Breeden with 3,606. With the other three competitors in that race, that means all the people that voted in this sheriff's race today, there's 7,890 votes up for grabs.
Yeah.
So people that maybe Chris Blevins was their number one, Beth Tolson was their number one choice today. All bets are off when it comes to the runoff. And both of them being so close, neck and neck, this is going to be very interesting coming down in the next 2 weeks.
Very good. All right, well, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll reset, give you some of the unofficial winners we've gotten so far, and hopefully play you some audio and some more guests as well. That's all coming up on Election 2024 on WRHI.
This is Mike Elder. We're the pool care specialists at Imperial Pool and Spa in Lake Wiley and Rock Hill. We're your local BioGuard dealer, ready to assist you with a wealth of pool care knowledge, wide range of proven BioGuard products, and everything needed to establish the best system. Come see us.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APRs previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather,
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
for 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome into our continuing election coverage on WRHI, CN2, YouTube, Facebook Live, the WRHI mobile app, the original AM 1340. If you can't find us, it's your problem.
That's right.
I'm just going to use that, Manning.
We're easy to find.
Yeah, you can find us. All right, so we are continuing to get numbers on a number of races, but before we play you some recent audio that we just got, let's give you the updates of what we have right now. So we have a couple of official winners. Just looking by the numbers and talking to some folks, not only the candidates, but also some of the folks on their campaign. Incumbent 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett has defeated Tyler Bratton. Also, at last check for State Senate District 17 in that Republican primary, Everett Stubbs leading big in that race with 3,300 plus votes, 60% of the vote, over Trip McCoy and Tibby Sente. Unofficially, it appears that David Martin has won over Elizabeth Enns in District 26 for State House. David Martin with 2,100 votes over Elizabeth Enns, 1,700 votes. Randy Ligon at last check had a big lead over Elias Irizarry for State House of Representatives District 43. And at last check, Jackie Tarabile, was leading Michelle Branning in District 66 with 152 votes. And we have these races that have become final. York County Council District 2, incumbent Allison Love has conceded. Andy Litton is your winner there, 3,443 votes over Allison Love's 1,327.
And that is quite a margin.
That's big.
I mean, are you surprised, Gary, by the margin of the Litton-Love race? The fact it's almost 3-1.
Yeah, that clearly there has been issues in District 2 that if you have an electorate that goes to the polling places and it's that kind of vote difference for an incumbent, clearly sending a message, yes.
Okay, so let's play some audio. Matt Hires, this is with Tony Breeden, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Tony Breeden, we caught up with him. This race still very tight. It appears Tony Breeden at the moment is second behind Michael Belk. Belk was leading 3,800 votes to Tony Breeden's 3,600, and this is a check-in with candidate Tony Breeden for York County Sheriff.
There's no sense in watching it by the second. So we're just kind of, as something comes in and people in the other area kind of say something, we'll go take a look at it. But I'm not glued to anything. We're just kind of sitting around, hanging around, talking. So it's not, I'm not really up to every second. So I really don't know what's left to come in. I haven't really we haven't pulled down to see what's left to come in yet.
Yes, sir. It looks like a couple of Rock Hill boxes are still out there. Some in the Fort Mill area are still incomplete. So you're kind of taking the approach kind of like a NASCAR race. You watch the last 10 laps, right?
Yeah, I mean, there might be a caution come in or something, so I'm not overly worried about it yet. And we could always have a green-white checker, so it ain't no sense in worrying about it just yet.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate your time. We might check in a little bit later with you, but so far, so good for you.
Yeah, we're hanging in there. We've had a good race. We've enjoyed it. Met some good people. We've we've done everything that we said we'd do, and that's what matters.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and we'll try to check in with you a little later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, that was once again Tony Breeden, who was second behind Michael Belk, and we believe we have someone on the line. Who is this?
Michael Belk.
Okay, no, he's not. All right, we thought we had someone on the line. That's okay.
Nope.
Let's go. Hang up, guys. So we'll try to get them in the next commercial break. But that was probably our most laid back candidate we've talked to tonight.
Oh yeah, he was having fun. He said he was just sitting around chatting, and he's not really. He said he's not hawking it. He's not watching it, and he's just going to turn it on here at the last lap and see what happens.
Well, as Manning had said prior, especially specifically for this York County Sheriff's race, where it involves every single precinct in the county. You're talking 100 precincts. That's going to take a while. Even if you have a campaign of folks at every single one, that's going to take a while to come in.
Yeah, we may not get the official numbers on this until tomorrow morning. It's just the way this thing works.
Yeah.
With the sheriff's race, though, and I know Assistant Chief Michael Belk will be calling in shortly, but we know it's going to a runoff. The question is who's in the runoff. The portendings now is that it's Belk and Breeden that will be in that runoff. Right.
Okay, we're getting some updates, so let's step aside here. Might have another person call in as well. You were listening to Today's Vote, Election 2024 on WRHI.
Not all swimming pools should be maintained the same way. This is Barrett Elder with Imperial Pools. We're your professional BioGuard authorized dealer, and we have a customized care plan for your pool. Bring in your water sample for expert analysis, and we'll help you keep your water clear and sparkling all season long. Stop by with questions and walk away with a customized BioGuard pool care program, tailored to meet all your needs.
See us in Rock Hill and Lake Wiley.
Selling real estate and personal property. That's what Ligon Realty and Auctions does for families and businesses. This is Randy Ligon. For 25 years, we've helped businesses liquidate real estate and equipment and families dealing with estates. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
Are you tired of watery eyes, sneezing, and congestion from allergies? This is Benny Etter.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
At AirTech, we can improve your home's air quality with filtration systems and humidifiers and help your family breathe cleaner air. And don't forget, when we replace your worn-out air system, you'll start saving electricity and money immediately.
No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
Call 327-7100.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome into our continuing coverage of Today's Vote. Sorry, that was swig of water for the working man, Manning Kimmel. So we have a guest on the line, one of the 5 York County Sheriff candidates. We just heard from Tony Breeden. Let's hear from Michael Belk, who at last checked was leading in this race. At last checked, he was leading 3,850 votes to Tony Breeden's 3,600 votes. And Michael Belk, what's the latest that you have?
Hey, I'm right there with you. Last time I checked, still sitting there, and just been got fielding tons of phone calls tonight. So been a pretty busy, active Tuesday night here on June 11th. But so far, liking where I'm at. Obviously, would love to have just win this thing tonight. I guess any candidate would, right?
Yeah. So Michael, kind of set the scene for us. Tony was pretty laid back where he was, kind of waiting for the results to come in. Do you have people out there amongst the precincts grabbing numbers and sending you stuff? What's kind of your status of tonight?
Yeah, so there was so much. It was hard to keep. It was really hard to keep up with everything coming in at first. So there's still some stuff out there. It looked like a lot of, I think last time I checked, we were at, was it 46 precincts reporting? Does that sound about right?
That's what we have. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and just a lot of stuff, and just some of the numbers that my folks, I've been busy talking, so I'm not sure which ones are lining up. So I feel like there's still some good numbers and potential precincts to win out there that are looking fairly decent so far, or at least for the remainder of the evening. So looking forward to getting the rest of these numbers in, and looks like a lot of turnout, or so far, I think around 15,000 votes so far for sheriff, which I think our early estimates, working with my campaign folks as well, I think that estimate was around 17,000. So it looks like we're going to well surpass that early estimate. Now, I'm talking about just numbers, and I'm not talking about votes
right.
just for me, but overall numbers were, I think, around 17,000.
15,670 votes have been cast so far out of 186,858 registered voters.
Yeah.
That's not a big number. That is not a big number. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying what they expected for a primary in the sheriff's race. Yeah, right. That is not a big number when you look at all registered voters in York County, obviously. Yeah, so a long way to go. I'll feel better, as we start closing in on the night. It's still kind of early in the game. I was listening to Everett a little bit. I'm with him too. I don't feel comfortable until everything's in, as far as where to go next. But, obviously kind of where we've been so far, but still got a ways to go.
Yeah, and as we've talked about, this race, was bound for a runoff. And at the moment, you're holding in good position there, leading slightly with Tony Breeden. But as we've talked about throughout the night, it can change immensely with so many other precincts out there that have not sent their numbers. I mean, this could either flip or maybe stay the same.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm not, just sitting back and keep clicking refresh all the time, just kind of trying to get those updated numbers. But try not to get too overly excited about one precinct. We got a long way to go. So, but like I said, just as of now, kind of liking where it's going, and hopefully we keep that momentum, through the rest of the precincts throughout the evening.
Well, Michael Belk, we thank you for the time. Best of luck to you, and appreciate you taking some time and joining us on WRHI.
Absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate WRHI always, and putting this out to the people. This is good stuff. So really appreciate you guys, and appreciate your interest in this election as well as all elections here in York County.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right. That is Michael Belk, who at the moment is leading Tony Breeden in the York County Sheriff's race by 3,857 to Tony Breeden's 3,606. Third in that race is Beth Tolson, 2,905. Let's see, fourth in that race is still Chris Blevins, 2,777 votes, and fifth is Heath Clevenger at 2,208.
So, Gary, I'm sitting here asking myself, what is wrong with me thinking that 15,000 votes out of 180-some thousand is not – well, I mean, I'm shocked. I thought this race, a sheriff's race, would be multiples of what's turned out so far.
Well, it's interesting, too, if you look at state law and then look at county registered voters, we always hear this term open and closed primaries. We have what's called an open primary, which means you don't register by party. Right. I hear people all the time say, I'm a registered Republican. Well, not in South Carolina. You may think you are, but you're not. But we also have a very active Democrat Party. The fact is, of that 186,000, there's probably 60 or 70% of those in York County that would say they are Republican leaning. There's probably another 35 to 40% that say they're Democrat leaning. Those numbers used to be exact opposite of that. When I ran in 1991, I can promise you they were opposite. I was the first Republican elected from Rock Hill. So things shift. However, one of the complaints about having a open quote unquote primary is that it brings Democrats into Republican primaries. Typically is what the complaint has been since Republicans dominate most of York County politics. This just shows you that in reality, I don't know that that's the case. And in reality, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. There is a generalized or a general satisfaction among the electorate in York County. I, too, am a little surprised that a sheriff's race wouldn't draw better than 8% because it is a county-wide office.
Exactly.
But it also shows you that congressional, Senate, gubernatorial will drive a vote more. And I think probably because of the extra spending. You and I talked earlier about how much does it cost to run a campaign. Well, in a specific district, you have a smaller footprint geographically in order to work in. In a sheriff's race, that's county-wide. So regardless of the party, it is an open primary, so anyone can vote. There was no Democrat primary for sheriff in York County. So if you had an interest in the sheriff, obviously you would vote in that primary regardless of what it was. The only difference would be Chester that had a split vote because they had a clerk of court running in that area. But it just goes to show you that involvement takes effort and to get the message out, but that message is only as good as the result it produces, and that result is actually getting someone to go take the time to vote.
Yeah. Good explanation. Thank you, Gary.
Very good. All right, we will step aside, Fox News, pay some bills, and come back. You are listening to Today's Vote, Election 2024 on WRHI.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
Helping businesses sell real estate and equipment, and families sell mom and dad's belongings, even the house itself. That's what we do at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We help businesses and families get their stuff sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again, we're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
Instead of going to the beach, enjoy the water at home with an above-ground pool from Imperial Pools. This is Mike Elder. For the cost of spending a week at the beach, your family will enjoy a pool at home for many summers to come. See Imperial Pools, 21 Bypass, Rock Hill, and in Lake Wiley.
I'm Deborah Valentine. Hunter Biden facing up to 25 years in prison. The first son found guilty today of all 3 counts in his federal gun trial in Wilmington, Delaware. Fox's David Spunt reports.
Hunter Biden stared straight ahead, showing no emotion as the word guilty sounded 3 times in the courtroom. The jury found that Hunter made a false claim about his drug addiction when he filled out a federal firearm registration form, that he lied to a federally licensed gun dealer, and he illegally possessed that weapon for 11 days.
Hunter Biden's guilty verdict on the same day his father, President Biden, spoke earlier in the day in Washington about tightening gun laws. President Biden.
It's time we establish universal background checks.
The president also called for an end to immunity for gun manufacturers. The president also said he accepts his son's verdict and will not issue a pardon. America's listening to Fox News.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome in to hour number 4 of today's vote in York County. How you voted, not just in York, but across the Tri-County. And just to give you an update, there is no update. We've kind of been in a stalemate, kind of a stagnant pace here in the last 30 to 40 minutes or so. We haven't got a whole lot in on the York County Sheriff's race. A lot of the other races, we have a pretty good idea on, a lot of unofficial winners. A lot of folks have already texted in a lot of numbers. So let's give you this first before we get to some audio that we just retrieved. 16th Circuit Solicitor Kevin Brackett, the incumbent, he defeats Tyler Bratton. Again, these are unofficial numbers, unofficial winners, but for the most part, we can tell you assuredly that they are the winners. State Senate District 17 in the Republican primary there. The winner of this one will face Senator Mike Fanning in November. Everett Stubbs, at last check, was leading big, 3,300 plus votes, getting 60% of the vote over Trip McCoy and Tibby Sente.
No runoff there.
No runoff there. No. State House of Representatives, District 26, it appears David Martin has defeated Elizabeth Enns. That was actually, I think, the first race that we got called coming in. David Martin defeats Elizabeth Enns, 2,100 votes to 1,700 votes. Last checked, Randy Ligon, the incumbent for State House District 43. He was leading big over Elias Irizarry. Let's see, State House of Representatives, District 26. You're about to hear from Jackie Tarabeel in just a moment. We will play that in just a moment. It appears that she has defeated Michelle Branning. And lastly, York County Council, District 2. Andy Litton has defeated incumbent Allison Love. Andy Litton got 3,443 votes to Allison Love's 1,327. And that is how they have voted so far, with some unofficial and official results coming in to WRHI. Okay, so our very own Matt Hires just caught up with Jackie Tarabeel, and let's see what she had to say.
Hey, Jackie, this is Matt Hires with WRHI. How are you?
Yes. Hi, Matt. Good. How are you?
Good. Just checking in with you from last time we spoke. Are you getting any numbers in?
Yes, we did get some numbers in, and we believe that we have one here. And I also heard from my opponent, and she graciously called to congratulate me on winning the seat.
Well, that's fantastic, and a lot of hard work went into this campaign.
Yes, we have a very, very large team of grassroots local community here who put blood and sweat and tears into this campaign for me, and I'm so grateful for all of it. We worked really, really hard.
All right, and are you hanging out at the house, or are you having a little get-together?
Yeah, we had a big party here. We had about 100 people who came just to hear the results together. And we're a huge community group, and just everyone was just behind me, and they wanted to be with me no matter the results, and we're very grateful that they were positive.
Excellent. Did you get any? What was the margin of victory there that you're getting?
I believe it was around 4%, maybe, or 4 points. I think it was.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, congratulations on your victory tonight, and we appreciate it, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for calling. It was good to talk to you again. Thanks.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
All right, so there you have it. Great job by Matt Hires, and it looks like he's recording someone else, so we might have some more audio coming our way in just a moment. Jackie Tarabeel taking the win, State House of Representatives, District 66, and that is primarily there in Tega, so I'm sure she has already given a call to David Martin, who took District 26. that seat oversees Fort Mill. So those guys, I'm sure, will be working together very soon there this summer. Okay, so Jackie Terrabeal, heard from her, District 66. And again, we gave you some of the other results. There was a result, Brandon Newton over Vic Dabney. That is that district that covers Lancaster County and I believe parts of Kershaw as well. That is one that has kind of been redistricted. Trying to see if we have any updated results. Let's see here. And again, we're still waiting for some new numbers on sheriff, and we still have nothing. Like I said, we've kind of hit a stagnant pace here. Michael Belk, at last check, was leading Tony Breeden. Michael Belk with 3,857 votes to Tony Breeden's 3,606 votes. Beth Tolson still third, 2,905 votes. So that is what we have there. All right, so do we have someone on the line? No, we don't. That's okay. I think they're talking to some people over there, so that's probably why that line was held up. All right, let's take a commercial break. Let's see who we have. Looks like Matt Hires got another guest that we can play for you. Now, I believe it's going to be another winner, so let's step aside. You are listening to Today's Vote, Election 2024 on WRHI.
For 4 generations, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. We have 2 locations to serve your family, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
Problem solving, that's our job at Ligon Realty and Auctions. This is Randy Ligon. We work with families and businesses needing to sell real estate and personal property, and our turnkey system ensures that what they want sold gets sold. Ligon Realty and Auctions, online at theligoncompany.com.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
Benny Etter here. We'll get you ready for the hot weather with an annual checkup. We'll clean the coils, replace air filter, and check your Freon and safety controls.
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APRs previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome into Today's Vote, Election 2024, the statewide primaries in South Carolina. Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, Gary Simmerl, Matt Hires on the microphone. And Matt Hires did an interview just recently with our friend Randy Ligon. He is the incumbent State House of Representatives, District 43. And here's what Randy had to say.
Hey, Mr. Ligon, this is Matt Hires at WRHI. How are you?
Hey, Matt. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. This has become an old hat for you.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Not at all.
Well, looks like we're going to go ahead and call you the winner here tonight. The numbers are coming in. Are you hearing anything on your side?
No, sir. I mean, I'm following. Listen, I'm listening to WRHI. And I'm dependent on you and Manning to tell me, and, of course, the ever wise Gary Simmerl to tell me whether I've won or not. Actually, I had a very nice call from Elias and appreciated it very much. He conceded graciously, and I certainly appreciated that. And you know,
yes, sir.
I look forward to getting back to work for District 43.
Yes, sir. Well, we wanted to call and congratulate you. And are you having a get together tonight? Or are you laying low?
No, man. I'm laying low. I was running around the polls all day and all over the big district of 43, which covers, a lot of York County and Chester County. So I've been burning up the road the last few days, and I'm ready to hit the rack, go to bed pretty soon. But I did want to hear Manning and Gary say that it's okay to, go to bed comfortably.
Well, I think it is okay for you to go to bed comfortably. You can go ahead and kick your feet up for tonight and then roll your sleeves up tomorrow and go back to work.
Yes, sir. That's what we're going to do. Representing the people of Chester and York County and doing the work that needs to be done at the state level.
Well, we appreciate what you do for District 43, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us tonight, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's make it official. Gary, let's get up here. Get the mic.
Yeah.
Let's tell Randy he can go to bed. Ready? Randy, you can go to bed.
Randy, nights out, lights out.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Gotta go to bed.
Gotta go to bed.
All right.
But it's interesting about that race because one thing he constantly points out is that if he had lost this race, Chester County would not be represented by a Chester County person. That's one of his.
We didn't talk about this earlier, but with the shift in population, with York growing so rapidly and Chester not, then it became there's a dichotomy there. And Randy, because you think about the Senate, we talked to Everett Stubbs. Everett lives in York. Michael Fanning lives in Fairfield. Chester has no senator, and if Randy were not in his seat, Chester would have no House member.
That's right.
And I know Randy Ligon won't take any offense to this, but because of the growth of Chester and what's been coming and what's been happening with the business and industry, he spent a lot of time in Chester. I mean, he's given us a lot of updates on the air with, not just stuff that's happening in Chester, but jobs that will be available for Chester folks, like that Scout Motors in Blythewood. They're going to have to find 4,000 people in like 3 years. So there is a lot building and coming to Chester, and he has spent a lot of time there trying to do what he can to take the news back to the State House and see how he can help his constituents there in that county.
Randy has done a great job of also providing needed funding because a county like Chester doesn't have the resources that a York or a Richland, those counties that surround that have. And so Randy depends upon the state in many instances to provide funding. A lot of that, a fire department, a fire truck, things that are vastly important but can't always be accomplished. So his experience in Columbia pays big dividends for Chester County, and that should never be overlooked.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt, you looking at me like you got an update over there.
Oh, we're looking at the sheriff's race again. Had a caller ask us to do a little bit of math, tell us the separation between these folks. He wanted to know if I had a calculator handy.
We got another update, too.
We do, and, wow. From the last one, I'll go ahead with what I got written down, and then I'll get to doing some mathing.
Okay.
Michael Belk with 3,857 votes. He is separated from the second place, Tony Breeden, who has 3,606 votes. They're separated by 251. There for the first spot in that race. Now, from there, the margin kind of widens between Tony Breeden and Beth Tolson. He is leading her for second place by 701 votes.
Ooh.
Beth Tolson is leading Chris Blevins, the fourth place contender, by 128 votes. And Chris Blevins is leading Heath Clevenger, who is in fifth right now, by 569 votes. What that means is last place and the first place, they're in that race, is only separated by 1,649 votes. And out of 16,437 votes total, that is a 10.03% gap between first and last.
Look at you. Well, we got another update.
Now we got to get to mathing.
We got another update here. 51% of the precincts now reporting. Michael Belk still leading 4,149 over Tony Breeden, 3,958. And for those of you at home, that's a difference of 191 votes. Beth Tolson is third with 3,126. And let's see, fourth is still Chris Blevins, 209.27.
2,927.
Yeah, 2,927, and Heath Clevenger with 2,277. So once again, Michael Belk still leading short margin over Tony Breeden, and then third is Beth Tolson. So this is very tight. We knew more than likely this was headed to a runoff, and that's where it looks to be heading. But there are still a lot of precincts that have not reported the numbers.
How many precincts are in on this?
51%.
51%. Yeah.
We're halfway there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
More than halfway.
Well, plus one.
Doing some algebra over here, buddy.
Optimist.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you have so far. All right, we will step aside, take a time out. You are watching and listening to Election Coverage 2024 on WRHI and CN2.
This is Mike Elder. We're the pool care specialists at Imperial Pool and Spa in Lake Wiley and Rock Hill. We're your local BioGuard dealer, ready to assist you with a wealth of pool care knowledge, wide range of proven BioGuard products, and everything needed to establish the best system. Come see us.
For nearly 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. This is Frank Green. Our family has been serving your family since 1954 with 2 locations, downtown and the Northwest Chapel.
Go online to greenfuneralhome.net.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
no matter what the weather.
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again. We're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back into our continuing coverage of today's vote in the primary in the state of South Carolina. Tyler Cupp, Manning Kimmel, Gary Simrell, Matt Hires. We appreciate you folks still tuning in at 10:25 on the East Coast as we are giving you the updates to today's vote across the county. And again, we have a number of winners, and we can tell you this because a lot of our conversations with these candidates, we understand that some of them have either conceded or they have the official numbers themselves. So let's go back through these, and then I have some conversation. We can have some questions to kind of talk with Gary about. 16th Circuit Solicitor incumbent Kevin Brackett has defeated Tyler Bratton. Let's see. State House of Representatives, District 26, David Martin has defeated Elizabeth Enns with 2,100 votes to 1,700 votes. Randy Ligon has won the race over Elias Irizarry in District 43 for State House. Elias conceded to Randy. He told us that just now in our last segment. Jackie Tarabeel is your winner in District 66 State House Representatives. Michelle Branning conceded to her. York County Council District 2, Andy Litton is a winner over Allison Love. Andy Litton with 3,443 votes over Allison Love's 1,327. And it was Brandon Newton over Vic Dabney with 77% of the vote. Now, Gary, I want to ask you, have you ever had a night similar to this, or can you recall any races where it kind of went late into the night? You're waiting on results. It's going. Have you ever, maybe you've had friends that were kind of waiting on results like this. got to be tough for these guys kind of waiting in the wings to figure out what's going to happen.
Well, when it's a close vote, I mean, normally there's trending. So, you know, the fortunate thing we have today versus when I first ran and I had to wait on Manning Kimmel with his landline to call in from York at the ballot box waiting on the paper ballots to arise. And sometimes, you know, he had a hard time getting a dial tone. So other than that, of yore that we talk about. But today with early voting, I think, you know, we used to always watch the absentee vote, you know, but typically the absentee vote, if you follow the law, were mostly retirees. They were not people that went across the spectrum. Today with early voting, anybody, we call it no excuse voting, anybody can vote. So that is a good portender of, you know, what is happening in the election. And so if you take that number, it gives you a good head start. Now, just as we looked at this sheriff's race, geography started playing a very important role in how these votes turned out, but you can see the trending still stayed pretty much the same. So yes, as a candidate, and you talked to Jackie Terabile earlier, Jackie Terabile, correct?
Terabile.
We'll learn it before the night's over. So, yeah, but the fact is that you want to be sure. Even Randy Ligon, who had a sizable lead, whereas Jackie Terabile didn't have a sizable lead, you want to wait till all the votes are counted. And so I think that becomes part of it. So it's the nail biter. We talked about this earlier, but you've done all the work. All you're doing is waiting now. And so the waiting sometimes, you know, the minutes turn to hours as you're waiting on this last minute to see, gosh, is there something in that one or two precincts that haven't reported? Is there something I just wasn't expecting is going to flip it? And you don't want to Dewey Truman, right? And so only Manning can remember this, President Dewey and President Truman. But the fact is, of that presidential race, you know, the newspaper printed it early and they were wrong.
They were wrong.
And of course, President Truman got to hold up
the
paper that said Dewey defeats Truman, and it wasn't true. And so in the media, you obviously want to make sure that doesn't happen. As a candidate, you want to darn sure make that doesn't happen. So those are the things that you deal with.
Now you talk about long election nights. When I came to Rock Hill 40 years ago, there was a sheriff's election. Tommy Pope's daddy, Albert Pope, and they had paper ballots back then. Oof. Oh, yeah. And Alan and I were out, I think, until 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Broadcasting to a large audience, right, at that hour of the morning. And we finally got the votes in, and Albert Pope did win. And the big night for us was we went over to the Awful House.
I was just about to say, there had to be that yellow beacon of glow involved somehow.
Yeah, we went over to the Waffle House. I said, yeah. And had breakfast, and then just came to work. So that was
my.
Well, back then though, the ballots ended up in a wooden box with a lock, and the poll manager would physically take that locked box over to York, and they would unlock it and open it and count the ballots.
Yeah.
So if you live way out in the district, it may, you know, McConnellsville, it may take, you know, a little while to get back to town.
I remember one of the first elections I ever worked. I was very young. I remember seeing those boxes in the voter registration office. They still had those boxes, and they told me the story of that, of putting them in the boxes and taking them across the county and getting them added up. Yeah.
Very real. No question about it.
Yep. All right, so last check. Let's give you an update as we have it. Let's see here. Looks like we do have another update. Okay. 60% of the precincts reporting so far. And let's give you an update on York County Sheriff Michael Belk. Still leading the way with 4,809 votes. Second, still Tony Breeden, 4,441. Third is still Beth Tolson, 3,468. Fourth is Chris Blevins, 3,277. And Heath Clevenger at 2,462. So that feels like it's getting tighter. The deficit between Tolson and Blevins is a lot tighter than it was. And, of course, Belk and Breeden still at the top. Belk leading 4,809 votes to Tony Breeden, 4,441. And, again, that is 60% of the precincts. I want to point this out. Our good friend Andrew Keel, tuning in, former employee with WRHI, he sent me, and Matt Hires actually alluded to this, and so did you, Gary, the map of the partially reported precincts and the completely reported precincts. And again, Matt Hires talked about this earlier, and we have a better idea. So the partially reported is a large portion of Rock Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, large portion of Rock Hill, which you talked about, Matt. Leslie, Rock Hill, into Catawba, portion of Fort Mill, portion, I'm trying to see what that town is up there. Yeah, really at the top of York County going into Pineville. And then on the other side, the completely reported, Lake Wiley, Clover, McConnell's, Newport, all those areas, even TKK, all completely reported in York County.
So what's missing is
a massive portion of Rock Hill. Yeah.
And looking at that right now, I'm going through the partially reported boxes, and we just got actually an update. But looking at inner city Rock Hill, some of the south side, the numbers way, way low. I know there was a big effort to try to promote this and say, hey, this is the only game in town. The Republican primary, everybody, regardless of party, get out and vote. But here's just a few of the numbers, paltry numbers from inner city Rock Hill. Edgewood, 23 total voters. Highland Park, 14. Northside, 11. Rock Hill, 8 voters. And Fairgrounds, 3 voters. So that's...
Jeez.
But those are partially reporting now. Hopefully they'll have some kind of amended update to those. But that's just in the sheriff's race where we were talking about. But some of the others, when you look up in Fort Mill, looks like River's Edge. They had over 500 people at that precinct. Windjammer looks like about 300. Let's see. Orchard Park about 300. Fort Mill 3 about 250. Fort Mill 1 about 300 as well. And that might, I think that's kind of give you a small snapshot of why Michael Belk from Fort Mill is taking such a healthy lead in this.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, all that data. Jeez, amazing. You'll find this. I just got a text message here from a friend of ours. Everybody knows Dilip Patel, right?
Oh yeah.
Just landed in New York City and listening to us on the app on WRHI to all these numbers.
Well,
it's amazing this
So the city that never sleeps,
That's right.
and he's listening to WRHI and Rock Hill.
He's got his priorities right. What's wrong with
correct.
you, boy? Huh? But it's just amazing how this technology has changed so much that you literally can take us anywhere, wherever you are.
Well, it looks like the last little ballot dump, it looks like 64% reporting in the sheriff's race. Michael Belk has extended his lead out. He's got 5,109 votes. He's 402 votes ahead of Tony Breeden, who's in second place with 4,707. It looks like Beth Tolson is in third with 3,641 votes, so she's about 1,000 out of second place for that runoff. Chris Blevins in fourth with 3,499 votes, so he only trails Beth Tolson for that third spot by 142 votes. And Heath Clevenger with 2,544.
Well, of course, being number 3 doesn't help you.
No, sir.
That's right. Got to be the top.
Unless
2.
you're Dale Earnhardt, but that's about it. But it looks like Michael Belk and Tony Breeden, they're still holding on to those 1 and 2 spots right there.
So we talked a little bit earlier about endorsements and the importance of endorsements. So in the endorsement department, if you have a 5-person race, only 2 go into a runoff. You've got 2 weeks. Where do the other 3, as you mentioned earlier, the difference between that group between number 1 and number 5 was 10.3% off, I think, that variance. So if you have that, the other 3 candidates, who do they endorse between those other 2, if they endorse at all, and how does that move the needle for the 2 that are in the runoff? And so that becomes the next pivotal question that is out there to be discussed.
You're certainly right, and then again, you have to kind of factor into the apathy thing. You've got a lot of people that voted in this race said, well, I already went and voted once, or, I mean, like me, we're going to be not in town. in 2 weeks and Tuesday, and we're going to have to get absentee ballots if we're going to vote in the runoff. So it's a challenge.
Break that down in the votes we covered. So you know who's left in the runoff. It looks as if Everett Stubbs has no runoff, so his base of support is out. Randy Liggins' race has been decided. These county races have been decided. So the only thing that ends up on the ballot is, in fact, a June 25th sheriff's runoff.
And between the third, fourth, and fifth place, that's 9,684 votes that were cast.
All right, we have a guest on the line, Andy Litton, who took District 2, York County Council. Andy, are you still with us?
I am. Good evening, everyone.
Andy, thank you for hanging on the line with us, and I guess we should say congratulations. You take it, 3,443 votes over Allison Love's 1,300. That's the last number we had, but kind of talk about your victory.
Well, I really appreciate it. You know, I couldn't have done it without the great team and all of the support that I got from the community. We spent a long time, many months of going out and just going door to door, knocking on doors and talking to people and getting a feel for the community. And they showed up today, and they did a good job and showed that we're ready for some change in District 2.
Andy Litton, this is Manning Kimmel speaking. It's interesting to me the size of the win. I mean, it's not quite 3-1, but it was a substantial win by you. And I read earlier this evening your rather lengthy post about tomorrow's being a big day. You've seen all the dirt that the incumbent has thrown out there to discredit my candidacy, and then you go on and on about your side of the story. This has been a rather spirited campaign, wouldn't you say?
It has. It's been, there's been a lot going on. The whole time we've just tried to, I'm sorry, goodness.
That's all right.
They're excited too.
Got the dogs knocking at the door. Sorry about that. But, we've just, on our side, just trying to let people get a full picture of what's going on in District 2 and why it's important for me to, to run and why they should get out and vote for me.
So now that you have got the job, well, at least you will the first of the year, what is it that is on your 1-2 list to work on?
So the main thing, the number one thing is the countywide and local EMS services. The River Hills Lake Wiley EMS is a donation-based EMS service, and they are struggling. The times are tough nowadays, and prices are high for everybody, so they're not getting quite as many donations. And without them get additional funding somehow and some more donations, they could go out of business in the next 6 months. So that would leave us in a, critically in a very terrible position up here without an EMS service to protect us. So that's the number one thing. And then the number two thing is just try to work on the traffic and problems that we have up here with infrastructure.
I know you're a civil engineer, and you talked a lot when we were together on Straight Talk about infrastructure and planning and what have you. But Lake Wiley, it's a horse is already out of the barn. I'm not sure how you're going to calm things down up there.
There's always more things that can be done. Anything from intelligent stoplights to redirecting some traffic to reducing the number of left turns across the 5 lanes that we have up here. We can also do regional partnerships and see if we can get Gaston County and Mecklenburg County to get on board with completing the Catawba Crossings bridge, which will go over to the Catawba River.
Yeah. And how about all those curb cuts you have up there?
Oh, man, there are so many curb cuts. And, everyone just reduces the, amount of traffic they can get through at any given time. So if we can cut some of those down and consolidate them, every little bit helps. Yeah. And you got to do something. You can't just throw your hands up in the air and go, all right, well, it's already bad. We can't do anything else.
Well, Andy, thank you for calling in tonight. Congratulations on your win. Quite a substantial win for you tonight, and we'll see how it all breaks out in January.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night, and I appreciate all that y'all do.
Thank you.
Very good. That is Andy Litton, who took down incumbent Allison Love for York County Council District Number 2. All right, we've got some updated York County Sheriff's race numbers, and people are texting, still wanting to know, why is it taking so long? Don't ask us. Ask the York County Voter Registration Office. 68% of the precincts reporting. Michael Belk still leads Tony Breeden, but get this, numbers are getting higher, boys. Michael Belk leads 5,280 votes to Tony Breeden's 4,907. That margin getting a little wider, but it's still pretty tight. Beth Tolson is third with 3,880 votes. Let's see here. Chris Blevins is fourth, not far behind, 3,714, and Heath Clevenger fifth at 2,639. So Michael Belk leading with 26% of the vote at 5,490, and Tony Breeden at 5,196. That's really, help me out here, guys, that's really the one race that we are waiting on. Yeah, Everett Stubbs pretty much has taken State Senate District 17. I haven't got a final on that. I'll reach out to somebody here during the commercial and try to get an official on that. But we are still getting numbers in for the York County Sheriff's race. We will look at some of the state races with Matt Hires coming up in just a bit. You are listening and watching to Election Coverage 2024 on WRHI and CN2.
Selling real estate and personal property. That's what Ligon Realty and Auctions does for families and businesses. This is Randy Ligon. For 25 years, we've helped businesses liquidate real estate and equipment and families dealing with estates. Ligon Realty and Auctions online at theligoncompany.com.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather,
Call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again. We're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
The Republican Primary Election 2024 on WRHI FM 100.1 and CN2 is brought to you by Imperial Pool and Spas, your official sponsor of summertime fun. AirTech Heating and Air. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. By Green Funeral Home, serving your county for over 70 years. Schiller Hamilton Law Firm. We've got your back. 366-0333. Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. And by The Ligon Company. Investment property, commercial real estate, property management and auction. Call 366-3535. And now, here's Tyler Cupp.
And welcome back into today's vote, our final segment. It doesn't appear that we will get all 100% precincts. Might happen in 20 minutes, but we know where we're headed, and that's a runoff in 2 weeks. And Gary Semmerl and Matt Hires did a great job in the last 20 minutes kind of breaking down what that looks like, kind of the math behind that, the optics of it. But that is where we are headed.
So let me ask the great politician over here.
Former.
I'm sorry. 30 years of experience. So now I guess the ones who are the top two vote getters, which appear to be Belk and Breeden, are going to be courting the supporters of the other three candidates. How is that done? I mean, do they talk to the candidates themselves and say, will you get your people to vote for me?
Well, the beauty in this particular race is that we know everybody has been cordial and very affirmative to the other folks. So now it's a matter of friendship, reaching out to the other three that wouldn't make the runoff and say, what can I do to earn your support? I'd love to have you endorse me. And then what the hope there is that once one would endorse one of the top two, many of their followers come along behind. We talked about what it means to endorse, and it's not 100%, of course, but it certainly is an indicator. And so if you get the supporters then supporting of those three into the other two, and work with the other three's turnout methods, because everybody had something a little different, a little unique in order to get people to the polls, whether those were text messages, live phone calls, driving someone, whatever it was, and utilize all of those pieces of this puzzle in order, because we talked about this earlier, but if you look at the race structure in York County now, the only thing that will be on the ballot June 25th is a sheriff's runoff. Yeah. So while it's a very important decision for the citizens of York County to make, because that's the next 4 years of who is the chief law enforcement officer of this county, getting people to the polls becomes crucial.
So would there be any type of an incentive for one of the three that didn't make it to get behind one of the two that did, such as maybe a job with the new administration, something like that?
You know, I can't speak to how that the politics of that works, but you know, when you're the sheriff and you come into being sworn in reality, all of your deputies you rehire because you're the chief law enforcement officer. It is unlike a municipal policing system, so it is completely different. But certainly it is reality, and you know, again, for folks that are interested in law enforcement, we talk about the thin blue line. We said it here earlier tonight, but that is a tight group of individuals because they have to look out for each other for the safety of themselves and the safety of their community. And so I think you'll see some coagulation there with these other three candidates as they relate back to the top two.
One final question. Would you expect the tone of this runoff campaign to be the same positive type of approach that we've seen in this primary?
This campaign for runoff will actually be more intense because now it's one person against one person for this particular job. So while you were one of five, now it's one of two. It's down to crunch time. But knowing the professionalism of the two so far that look like they're going into the runoff, I would see professionalism continuing in this race. I think this will be a very issues-oriented race about who can best serve York County. I just don't see a lot of mudslinging from this group of people.
I would expect there to be a lot more detail as far as what each of these surviving candidates,
intensity and detail,
brings to the table. It's one thing to say I've had this experience. Okay, let's get more into it.
And more people will pay attention. Again, the key for that is not just paying attention, getting your name out, but producing the result. And the result in this case is getting someone to vote.
Okay, so wrapping up here, here's how we're going to do this. Matt is going to give us some of the statewide races that we've been keeping an eye on. And then I will finish up. We've got a couple of races that are 100%, so we can actually give some more final and updated numbers. And then we have some races that are now at 71% of the precincts reporting. So I'll have Matt start with some of those state races we've been keeping an eye on.
All right, and we're going to start off with the U.S. House of Representatives District 1 down in the Low Country. Nancy Mace is going to hold off two defenders and not have a runoff as she seeks a third term in the U.S. Congress. She'll be facing off against Michael Moore on November 5th. District 2 of the U.S. House of Representatives, Joe Wilson, he defeated his primary contender, Hamp Redmond, handily tonight, and he'll face off against David Robinson in November. For District 3, this is the district being vacated by the retiring Jeff Duncan after 7 terms. There will be a runoff there. It looks like it's going to be between Mark Burns and Sherry Biggs for the Republican nomination. For the Democratic nomination, it's going to be Byron Best out of that district. In U.S. House of Representatives District 4, William Timmons has pulled ahead late. It looks like he's going to run for a 4th term there, and he'll be facing Catherine Harvey in the November 5th election. For U.S. House of Representatives District 5, of course, Evangeline Hunley. She's going to be the Democratic candidate, and Ralph Norman, he had no opposition tonight either. That speaks volumes about both of them. For the U.S. House of Representatives District 6, Duke Buckner, he has won the right to go against 16-term Congressman James Clyburn. the House Assistant Majority Leader. And in District 7, out by the beach, Mal Hyman will face off against Russell Fry. And a couple of those state legislature seats we were talking about, Matt Lieber down in SC, the South Carolina Senate District 41. He's leading Sandy Sin by mere 31 votes.
Oh, wow.
And in that case, in that race, that would trigger, if that's the number, that would trigger an automatic recount.
Yes, sir. And in South Carolina Senate for seat 26, Representative Russell Ott leads Senator Dick Harpootlian by 165 votes. So another close one.
So, Gary, I got to ask you a question. Why does somebody go up against a giant like Jim Clyburn? I mean, I can't imagine anybody being able to defeat him unless all of a sudden something really nasty turned up.
I think even that would not. He would still not be surmountable in that. And look at the primary. I mean, Congressman Clyburn did have a primary, and I think Matt can pull these numbers for us. He's our statistician, but around 91% in his primary vote. So even those that challenged him on the left obviously failed. And Congressman Clyburn in that particular district, I would say he's a safe bet.
Well, he single-handedly put Joe Biden in as president of the United States.
Well, he delivered South Carolina,
and that turned the whole
no doubt.
campaign around.
And say what you want about politics, but he delivers for South Carolina.
Yep, he does. He certainly does.
All right, so these are the local races that we have been following all night. Keep in mind, a couple of these are not final. Some of these have 100% of the vote. We are headed for a runoff in the York County Sheriff's race with only 71% of the vote. I'll leave that one for last. Here are a couple of races that are final 100% of the precincts reporting. David Martin defeats Elizabeth Enns, 2,114 votes to 1,776. That is for District 26 State House of Representatives. Let's see here. Also, 100% of the precincts reporting. We had this one very early on. Give credit to Gary Summerall. He had this one. Jackie Tarabeel wins it by 152 votes over Michelle Branning, 2,144 to 1990. That is District 66, State House of Representatives. That represents Tiga K. Also, 71% of the vote, unofficial winner. He takes it. Kevin Brackett, the 16th Circuit Solicitor. Last checked, 14,780 votes to Tyler Bratton's 5,480. Also, York County Council District 2. This one is 100%, and these numbers have changed just a little bit, but Andy Litton is still your winner. 3,529 votes over Allison Love's 1,325. Also, Elias Irizarry has conceded to Randy Ligon for State House of Representatives District 43. And at last checked, State Senate District 17, it appears that it will be Everett Stubbs. He was leading 3,300 votes over Trip McCoy and Tibby Sente. Everett Stubbs with 60% of the vote. And I think they were still waiting on some Fairfield County numbers there, but it appears Everett has taken that one. So for the York County Sheriff's race, this is what we have right now as we leave the air in just a couple of minutes. 71% of the precincts reporting. I'm going to update this one more time. Okay, and it is still the same. 71% of the precincts reporting. Leading the way is still Michael Belk, 5,492 votes, but look how close. Tony Breeden is second with 5,196. Pretty close. Third is still Beth Tolson, 3,880, but not by much. Chris Blevins, 3,714. And Heath Clevenger at fifth, 2,639. So
there's still a lot of boxes out there to hear from, and who knows how this thing's going to shake out. So Palmetto Mornings will be the place you want to tune into first thing in the morning.
All right, very good. So our thanks to Jacob Cullen, Ryan Foles, Seth Eves, Matt Hires, Manning Kimmel, Gary Simmerl. Fantastic job to you and everyone here.
Well done.
Thank you so much. Everybody did a fantastic job. And once again, we are going to give you the updated numbers tomorrow morning. So stay tuned to WRHI News, social media, CN2 as well. For Tyler Cupp saying so long from election 2024, we are headed to a runoff in 2 weeks. Good night now.
Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. They said, "You have no authority. You're not the president." The president said, I said, "Call him." I said, I'm telling you, you're not